In the dead of the night, the Mets swoop in.
30 seconds. Ten seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Happy hump day. Hope your week is going well. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Good show lined up today. A couple of guests in the 8 o'clock hour. An awful lot to discuss between now and then. But first, good morning, Mark. How are you?
I'm good, David. I'm just thawing out from yesterday's chill.
Well, you
the
played
freezing
golf
rain
yesterday
that we had in Southwest Florida, or at least that's what it seemed like to me. I don't think I could ever move north again. I have become that soft.
And by north, you mean like Lake City?
Oh, I was thinking Tampa, but you've got a point.
You have to officially, you have to get above I-4 for it to be remotely considered north. So you maybe, just.
I don't know if I could ever live in the South again, if you know what I mean.
Right. Because we feel the South stops at I-4.
Right.
Below I-4 is Florida. All right. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. Well, I know you were playing golf yesterday, so did you continue or no?
So I did, and I didn't want to. It started raining literally as we were teeing off, and I am begging the skies to open up so we can get off the golf course. And I played with a bunch of guys. I think there's, 16, 20 guys yesterday. And I don't know how many because apparently most of them left during the round because it continued to rain. But the group in front of us kept playing, so we kept playing. Despite two of the four of us wanting to get the hell off the golf course, we found out of all the groups that played, we were the only two that finished 18 holes.
Wow, so you won.
No. Basically, the commissioner of the day left. The whole day was canceled from a betting standpoint.
No. That's not how it goes.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Just because you walk out on the game doesn't mean the game stops. That bet continues. Trust me, I know. I went 0-2 on the bowls yesterday. Those bets continue, baby.
But it was chilly yesterday. It's going to warm up today and tomorrow, and then it's going to get a little cooler again. Rain's coming in, believe, on Friday once again. So,
yeah, Christmas Eve and Christmas going to be chilly by whatever your standards are throughout the state of Florida. I mean, lows in the low to mid 20s north of I-4, and 30 south of it. Oh yeah, highs in the 40s north of I-4 and barely 50 south of it. So, oh yeah. Hey, it's Christmas Eve. It's Christmas. Come on now.
Get that heater smell in your house for Christmas Eve. That 1 to 3 times you turn the heat on this year.
Right. In fact, you may even want to turn it on 12 hours earlier than you really thinking. Let it burn itself out. You know what I mean? Then maybe you could even air your house out for about 20 minutes. Just, find the perfect combination and then go. Close everything. Good. You asked me a question right before we started. You asked me whether or not, because I grew up a Mets fan, and I'm a diehard Mets fan. I mean, the two teams that I waffle back and forth about in terms of if I can only, as a fan, have one more championship in my lifetime, and I just turned 57, and it's really difficult to choose between the Rangers and the Mets. I mean, those are because the Giants owe me nothing. I mean, come on, 4 Super Bowl wins, they owe me nothing. That's if they've won their last one, I'm good. But Mark, I didn't go to bed till like 1 a.m. I mean, I flew back from Green Bay. I didn't get in the house till after 11 o'clock. I was working on the starting 5 here till about 12:30 in the morning. I mean, there's nothing that happens between when I go to bed and when this show starts. Nothing.
Sure, there's not.
And then you asked me whether or not I feel like every day is Christmas Day. And I'm like,
being a Mets fan.
Yeah. And I'm like, Mark, we re-signed Adam Ottavino yesterday. I mean, nice setup guy and all, but I mean, that's like a birthday gift. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm talking about Carlos Correa signing a 12-year, $315 million deal with the Mets after everything went south in San Francisco hours before his introductory press conference was supposed to be held.
So we had David Sampson on the show yesterday, and you and I both follow him on Twitter. And so I saw the news before I went to bed about the hiccup. That's what it was officially called, a hiccup that had developed between the Giants and Correa. And David Sampson took to Twitter and said, okay, let me tell you what's going on. The Giants have a medical concern. They're trying to get Boris to renegotiate. Boris does not renegotiate. David Sampson said, I'm telling you, Scott Boras is looking at the Giants and saying, do we have a deal or are you walking away from it? And that's how he left it on Twitter. I did not expect before David Sampson got up this morning that Carlos Correa would be with a new team. Although it is interesting that it's the Mets because apparently Steve Cohen called at like the 11th hour on Correa, and Boris had to say, listen, Steve, I appreciate it. Believe me, I do, but we're too far down the road with the Giants. It would be unethical to go back now. And Steve went, okay, got it. So I'm guessing Scott called Steve and said, hey, just so you know, it's not the 11th hour anymore. Wow.
So let me re-ask the question again. Do you feel like every morning is Christmas since Steve Cohen has purchased your New York Mets?
No, I feel like I won the lottery. I do. Mega Millions is up to about 460 million right now. I do. I feel all those times that we talk about what would we do if, okay, now that guy just bought my team. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now I am beginning to know what it was like to be a Yankees fan when Steinbrenner in the mid-70s said, the hell with it. Just get everybody you can. Reggie, Catfish Hunter, whatever you got to do, just get them. I want to win.
And Cohen wants to win.
Yeah, he does. Mark, you know what we need in sports? We need more owners to put themselves on the clock. Okay, Steve Cohen put himself on a 5-year clock. He paid $2.4 billion for a franchise, sat down at the press conference and said, well, I want to win a championship in the first 5 years. Well, nobody forced him to say that. Nobody has forced him to act this way. And so now Steve is like arguing with himself in the mirror every day. Well, we're 2 years in. I only got 3 years left to win a championship. I guess I got to spend more money.
Right? Couldn't even win a division last year.
No.
Got to improve upon this team. Thought I had a division. Thought we were on our way.
Right. But then again, it was the Braves. And as a Mets fan, I should know we don't beat the Braves, even when we win 101 games, the second most games we've ever won in a regular season. So, wow. Yeah, that's
so good morning, David.
Wow. That's a little nuts. This payroll, by the way, you throw in the taxes, this is going to be a $500 million payroll.
He's got it.
Well, he does, but that doesn't mean he's going to spend it, Mark. I mean, just like the little Michigan State walk-on who decided to pay $4 billion for the Phoenix Suns and the Phoenix Mercury yesterday.
$4 billion
Right.
for the
Right.
Phoenix Suns.
Correct. Not the LA Lakers. Not the Celtics. You know, pick your franchises here. The Phoenix Suns, number of NBA championships, 0. Great franchise, though, and they own that area. That's the Dolphins in Arizona. The first pro sports franchise, that's the one they love.
And it helps that nothing else has been good that's come there.
Right. I mean,
The
Arizona
D-backs had a moment.
Right. And the Cardinals have, gotten to a Super Bowl and gotten to an NFC championship game. But yes, I mean, the Suns are their first love. That's the one with the deepest roots, just like the Dolphins. The Heat are doing amazing things. The one with the most roots is the Dolphins.
Right. The difference being is that the Heat have done a lot to develop roots. You really can't say that about the Diamondbacks or the Cardinals.
No.
In what they've done comparatively in success terms to what Miami's done to help make it a two-sport town with the Dolphins.
Mark, here's what I find funny is they were expecting the sale to be around 3. I wonder if this was a little Steve Ballmer here. Remember when the Clippers were for sale and the talk was, you could get $1 million, maybe 1, 2. And Ballmer just put $2 billion down on the table. Boom. And said, here you go. Take it or leave it. And they went, well, congratulations. You've got yourself an NBA team. All right. And I wonder if that's what it was. You had 2 or 3 entities that were all around $3 billion. I wonder if this guy just said $4 billion. I'm tired. I want to celebrate the holidays. Yes or no? We doing this? Well, congratulations. Okay, we'll even throw in a WNBA franchise just for the heck of it.
Got to be fired up if you work for that franchise today, don't you?
Yeah. You gotta think that the bonuses are going to be good come the holiday season, don't you?
Really and truly, you got to feel positive. Or scared to death that you're going to get blown out the next day.
Right. Well, there's that. I do have one question, though. His estimated worth, according to Fortune magazine, was $5.5 billion. I thought he cashed out $10 billion worth of stock last year. How can you only be worth $5.5 billion if you were given $10 billion in cash last year? I mean, that's blowing through a lot of coin. Just saying.
NIL, David.
Well,
he had to buy a couple coaches, had to buy a few players.
Well, listen, Mark, he's a Michigan State guy. I mean,
you've seen their recruiting class for next year in basketball. Izzo's finally allowed to pay players, and boy, is he ever.
Well, now the football fans are going to be going, hey, don't forget about us.
You're damn right. We can't keep losing these recruits. Signing days today. I expect some names on the dotted line.
I think now we know why they can pay that football coach $9 million. They had this guy in the back pocket.
Darn right they did. Miller and Moulton, JP Shadrick from the Jags will join us, and Seth Everett on the show today as well. Thanks for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Life Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlifetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oh, boy, this guy loves Izzo.
Mm-hmm. Hey, all I know is that I went to high school with a guy that was a walk-on at State. Tom treats him the same way he treats Draymond.
Well, wasn't this guy a walk-on?
He's a walk-on also. That's what I'm saying. I don't know this guy, obviously,
Right.
but Ron Haley, who I went to high school with, was a walk-on. I see social media. Ron brings his family to the locker room, and Tom treats him the same way he treats superstars. That's what I've always been told.
Adam, NBA salaries are going to go up. Their CBA is up in 2 years, and they're going to get a lot more money from both ESPN and Turner. Although Turner's threatening to dump the NBA because for what the NBA is asking for, their feeling is, yeah, it's not worth it to us.
I just don't know how ESPN can continue to fork out the money if their business model is doing what it's doing.
Well, I don't think they're losing money. I just don't think they're making as much.
But I mean, 10 million people cut the cord.
I know that's a ton of money.
$6-7 a head
A month.
At
It's
a month.
$84 a year times 10 million. Yeah. That's $840 million.
Right? I mean, that's $1 billion that comes off the books. I mean, to sit there and be able to do budgets and go, well, if another.
Yep.
I did not see Eastern Michigan winning all the potatoes yesterday, David.
I didn't either. I did not. Oh, excuse me. Getting a massage today. Going to do the show, take an hour nap, go get a massage, probably fall asleep on her. This will be glorious.
I'm playing a dangerous game. Dangerous game. I haven't napped in a week.
Well, you couldn't nap for 3 days. You could. Well, the City of Palm's still going on, right?
Last day's today. Here we go.
How's it been?
It's been great. It's exhausting.
How are the crowds?
We're coming back. Next break.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. JP Shadrick, who's not only part of the Jags radio network, he does play-by-play for Westwood One. He's got Dolphins-Packers Christmas Day in
Merry
Miami.
Christmas.
Yeah. You're going to have to work, though. You might as well do a broadcast for the nation, right? So JP Shadrick will join us coming up at 8 o'clock. Jags with biggest regular season game they've had in 5 years. And they'll be in prime time, baby. Thursday night football. Hey, speaking of the NFL and, streaming, did you see who's going to get the Sunday ticket?
I did.
YouTube TV.
Making it easier for me to cut the cord.
Now, the word is they're going to pay about $1 billion more a year than DirecTV was paying. DirecTV was paying 1.5. Google said, make the one or two. What do you say? Can we do this? And the league went, sure.
Can we do this?
What are you kidding? Done. Now, this is not a break-even deal for Google at all. I mean, it's on paper, this is going to lose so much money that, Mark, you've done things when you've been in business with teams in which you're doing something and the boss says, "Are we going to make money on this?" And you go, "Hell no. But we're doing this because we're hoping it's going to lead to this and to this and to this and to this." But no. Don't look at the paperwork. No. We're not paying the bills on this. So this is, plus it's Google. I mean, they got so much money, right?
Right.
But
and they couldn't let Amazon get it.
Right.
And the NFL didn't want Amazon to get it because that limits the number of people that are writing checks to the NFL.
Correct. But to give you an idea, about 1.5 to 2 million people have Sunday Ticket with DirecTV. So let's just say they replicate that everybody who has DirecTV now is going to, go YouTube TV and they'll do it again. Do you know how much they would have to charge if, say, they're doing, I don't know, 2 million?
Okay.
They'd probably have to charge like $1,000 a year to break even.
And they typically charge, I want to say I think I paid $3.99 this year.
Did you?
I think that's what it cost.
Okay.
Because there's one cheaper package, but it doesn't give you the red zone. And what would the package be without the red zone? And I think I paid another $100 so that I have the red zone.
So it'd be $1,250 is what they would have to charge. If 2 million, which is the top end of what DirecTV has in terms of Sunday Ticket subscribers, in order for this to be a break-even deal, YouTube TV would have to charge everybody who wants it $1,250.
But if those 2 million people are also getting YouTube TV, and I don't know exactly what YouTube TV charges per month because I don't have it, but I know it's not that expensive.
Are you going to get it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. As soon as this deal starts, I'll be done with DirecTV. I'll be a YouTube TV subscriber, and I'll get the ticket.
Okay. And because I do none of this, so I'm reading Twitter and people saying, "Oh, YouTube TV's great. Oh, YouTube TV's slower than this and this." Okay. I don't know. But so there you have it. The NFL, the biggest damn sports entity we've got in this country. The NFL did not sit back and watch any of the other major sports do the streaming thing and then decide whether or not it was working and then dip their toes into the water. No, the NFL cannonballed into the deep end at the same time. Amazon Thursday nights, YouTube TV Sunday Ticket. Go.
Look, I guess it's the future. We all know that we're going to streaming. How quickly we're going there on a regular basis. Will this expedite this more quickly? I mean, you're working on Sundays and Mondays, so it's not really, you're not a part of this equation right now because of the jobs that you have. You're traveling. It's not something you would get.
Right. But with all these shows that are on streaming services, I've got my mother-in-law and my wife, who are both like, hey, do we need to get this one or do we need to get that one? And I'm like, well, if we're going to start going down that road, then we're cutting the cord. And we're going to have to sit down and figure out who gets what and this, that, and the other thing. Because right now we got the cord and we're, paying the extra a month for, Netflix and for Apple TV. And, that's the route we're going. And, not to get too personal, but, I will say Comcast internet's awesome. And with what Mark and I do for a living, we need awesome internet. So that's, now I know you can keep the internet and ditch the TV, but, they get you on that whole bundling thing. It's like, hey, how about we go out and I'll bring my sister along with me? Yeah, sure, fine.
Sister.
Just that's you can bring a friend, I'll bring my sister. Oh, okay, sure, fine. It's kind of how I feel, when I'm on the line with them and they're like, well, let's bundle this. And I'm like, oh, so now we're double dating? I just wanted to date you, not your sister. Also, okay. No, sure, it's a great deal. Right. Yeah, I'll do it. So how many of you have not watched Thursday Night Football this year because it's on Amazon? So now, how many of you who have Sunday Ticket, you've got what, 8 full months to wrap your everything around this and go, okay, Sunday Ticket, YouTube TV.
Big difference here, though, is Thursday Night Football with Amazon Prime is just a game. It's not your team. Sunday at 1, you would be sacrificed missing your team. And that's the part of the ticket that's appealing to so many, is it gives you that fandom wherever you go. And most people can justify it because if they had to go to the bar every Sunday to watch their team, they'd spend a hell of a lot more than they do buying the package. Unless you're one of those guys that goes there and gets a, Diet Coke and just sits there for 4 hours.
Right. Right. And, well, we're not fans of you, just so you know. We thank you for listening, but come on. Order a carb, will you? Miller and Moulton. So I don't know how much YouTube TV costs,
About $65 a month
Okay.
for YouTube TV. That's the numbers I'm getting.
So if for YouTube TV to break even on the NFL, they would then have to make that about $190 a month. But they're going to get a customer in you, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they'll have, I'm sure they have their version of some advertising that they're getting on this. But it's a huge move for the NFL.
Yes, it is. And
because
not only that,
TV's easy and we've had it and we're used to it.
and it's an extra $1 billion in income split with the players. That salary cap, don't worry about the quarterback salaries, folks. Honestly, it'll chump change. Really. Miller and Moulton, starting fives next.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
David, you are right. Jeff Passan. Current payroll for the Mets, $384 million. Luxury tax payments will be $111 million. Their total payroll projects to be $495 million. That's a trip. How's that not a trip?
T-Camp, what channels are you missing from YouTube TV? Because I'm guessing, they're the cheaper alternative. They can't offer the same number of channels. I'm just curious.
That's what I'm going to need, Johnny. That's going to be the problem I have is smart TVs. You're totally right on with that.
Why is that?
Because you need a smart TV to use YouTube TV. Can't just get YouTube TV on your regular old TV. You need something that's got the internet that has all these apps on it, so you can. Right, you're right. What are Fire Sticks these days? What's a Fire Stick cost? And is there a monthly fee with the Fire Stick, or do you just have to buy it?
$35 for a Fire Stick?
Gotcha.
Those Piston jerseys and courts are awesome.
Yeah, I hate those jerseys.
I love them.
I like the red, white, and blue Pistons jerseys that they wore when they won championships.
David, the crowds have been kind of not nearly as full as last year. Just because there was, Montverde, IMG, Oak Hill last year. But some talent nonetheless.
Well, that's always the case.
Okay, T-Camp.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour, some heavy-duty negotiating going on during the commercial breaks. Another reason to be a part of the Miller Moulton show on our Twitch.tv broadcasts. Mark asking a lot of questions. Those that have YouTube TV and, Fire Sticks and Roku and, what do I need and how much? And
it was a tech time.
It
was
really
a tech
was.
time break there, David.
It's fitting that Seth Everett is joining us in a couple hours because we did just do an episode of Tech Stream during that commercial break. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. JP Shadrick and Seth Everett still to join us. Right now it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
We'll start with the NFL. You guys seem to like it. Sunday Ticket is reportedly headed to Google's YouTube TV. The NFL will make an extra $1 billion a year. No. The deal's not for $1 billion a year. It's for $1 billion more per year than what they're getting from DirecTV now. YouTube TV is going to pay $2.5 billion a year reportedly for Sunday Ticket. That will be the second most annual package that the NFL has. ABC ESPN pays $2.7 billion a year. for all it is that they get. This would slot in second, Mark. YouTube TV would be paying more than NBC, CBS, and Fox annually.
To air games that are basically other networks' games.
Correct. It's a 5-year deal, reportedly $2.5 billion a year. Now, I could be wrong, and as you guys know from listening to the show, there's a very good chance of that. But just some quick math: if you're throwing an extra $1 billion on top of the pile, and the cap was projected to go to a certain level, well, you got 32 teams, $30 million per team's $960 million. So just for argument's sake, let's just say it's $30 million extra per team. But don't you split that in half with the players in a 50-50 share? Okay, that's, to me, Mark, did the cap just go up $15 million whenever this goes into effect, which I think would be in a year? I mean, that's how it works, right?
It's a lot of position players you can add for that.
Well, but
it's not quarterback money, but I mean, it's a franchise tag to a tight end. It's a number 2 receiver. No, I'm just having some fun here. Yes.
And the other way to look at it, though, is that if you've got one of those really special quarterbacks, and if the first digit soon is going to become a 5 in terms of what it is you're going to have to pay them, I mean, Aaron Rodgers broke the $50 million barrier. And we got Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert coming up here, and then a year after that, it'll be Trevor Lawrence. I mean, they're going to get $55 million a year. Well, this will help pay for it, to be honest with you. Honestly, all this extra money, I don't think the quarterbacks, Mark, are going to be as big a deal under the cap as it has been going forward, because these deals are just damn ridiculous. I mean, their TV revenue, Mark, just their TV revenue is more than any other professional sports league generates in their entire revenue. That's how much money they're getting just to air their games. Other NFL news, we threw this out there as a possibility yesterday. The Ravens claiming wide receiver Sammy Watkins. Turns out Devin Duvernay got hurt at practice, so they need a receiver. So Sammy's back with Baltimore. Kenny Pickett and Zach Wilson are going to start this week. Pickett for the Steelers, Zach Wilson tomorrow night for the Jets against the Jazz. Mike White's still not ready to go. So there.
So you need more than 10 days to come back from broken ribs or a broken rib.
Yeah, apparently he can't get medical clearance either. I mean, he wants to play there.
Oh, no, it's not the player.
Right?
It's the Jets medical staff saying, no, you're not going to go out. You're not going out there like that.
Right. College football, today's a big day. It's the first day of the early signing period. We've already had some news, Mark. Alabama flipped the number 2 offensive tackle prospect. He's a kid who grew up in Iowa, who had committed to Iowa. He's now going to Alabama. I'm sure NIL had nothing to do with it. Nothing at all. JT Daniels, he ends up choosing Rice. Rice will be his 4th team that he's going to go play quarterback at. But the Gators got some news overnight. All right. Wisconsin starting quarterback for the last 3 years, Graham Mertz. He's going to transfer to Florida. He's got 2 years of eligibility remaining. Also, the Gators getting some great news today. He's a 4 or 5-star quarterback commit, depending on which service you look at. But out of California, Jaden Rashada is committing to the Gators. So there's some early college football, early signing day transfer news. We could only do 12 hours of this. I mean, that's all. No big deal or anything. So I would advise you, if this is your thing, 24/7 sports all day. Nobody does it better right now.
Nope. They are on top of this game.
Yeah. College hoops last night. Mark, what's the last home field, home court, home ice advantage in sports?
We definitely think, and we've kind of said that there are some others that are trying to sneak in there, but the college basketball home court advantage, we believe, is the best home field ice advantage that there is left in sports.
Virginia went on the road in the ACC last night. They went to Miami, and the Canes beat them 66-64. Canes are ranked, however. Duke went on the road to Wake Forest last night. They got whacked 81-70. By the way, Mississippi State played Drake in a neutral court game. Hey, don't do that. That's one of the best mid-majors in the country. Drake beat them by 6. And Providence in 2 overtimes beat Marquette. Those are the ranked teams, Virginia, Mississippi State, Duke, and Marquette, who lost yesterday. Gators lost to Oklahoma. That's part of the whole Jumpman tournament in Charlotte, 62-53. Florida 7-5 on the year. JU a winner by 11 on the road at Louisiana Monroe. The Dolphins are 7-3 on the season. Women's hoops, South Florida nearly took down third-ranked Ohio State. They lost by 2 in overtime, 88-86. Other women's results, UCF and FIU winners, UNF a loser. Going to transition to baseball here. Overnight, while we all were sleeping, the Carlos Correa deal hit a speed bump yesterday. The Giants were going to announce him, press conference and everything. And then apparently they found something on his physical they didn't like.
Yeah.
So you're saying they made it up?
I think they made the whole thing up. I believe everything David Sampson said. And I saw another tweet out there that this is not a back problem. I've seen enough out there in the early morning to believe that they wanted somehow to renegotiate. They wanted to do something differently. I don't think there was a back problem.
So you think the Giants had buyer's remorse?
100%.
So remember when they signed Carlos Correa, what was it, 13 for $350? Well, at the last minute before Scott Boras did that deal with the Giants, Steve Cohen of the Mets called them and said, hey, what would it take? And Boras said, Steve, we're too far down the road with the Giants. I can't do it. It'd be unethical. Okay, I understand. So when the Giants discovered a back problem or made something up or whatever, Boras picked up the phone and said to Steve, you ready to do this? And Steve said, yeah, how about 12 for $315? What do you say? I mean, that's 26 and a quarter a year. Does that work for you? Works for us. He's going to have to move from short to third, though. This is A-Rod with the Yankees. You know, Mets got their shortstop. You know, the Yankees had this Jeter guy, and A-Rod had to move. Same thing with Correa here. Is it, if, you know, $315 million guaranteed, I mean, is that enough to move to third? It helps that Correa and Lindor apparently are really good friends. So the Mets payroll is like 380 something million for next year.
384, David. 384.
But then see, baseball has not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 levels of taxation. They added a 4th level in the new CBA. It was the Steve Cohen tax, the owner of the Mets.
That tax, David, would be $111 million.
The Steve Cohen tax level, by the way, is 90 cents, which means that if I sign you for $10 million, I'm really signing you for $19 million because I have to pay 90 cents on every dollar that I spent. So if you look at it in those terms, Mark, take a look at what he's really paying for Carlos Correa.
That would be $495 million is the total Met payroll for this year with the taxes, $500 million.
And Cohen doesn't even own the television network. He doesn't get any of that revenue. That still goes to the old owners that he paid $2.4 billion to. Man, this guy's blowing through some money. Doesn't he know the Braves are still going to win the East?
Ooh, look at you.
Mark, been a Mets fan for a long time.
I understand this is a new day as a Met fan.
It is. It is. All right. But Mark, they could buy the 27 Yankees until they beat the Braves. Okay, the Braves are the team to beat. I'm telling you.
Someone retweeted an Onion headline from 2003 that said Yankees buy every player in baseball to assure a World Series champion. And someone just retweeted it, said, do we need to redo this with the Mets?
Looks that way. Let me tell you, when you have that, I mean, can you really give any other baseball news? I mean, it seems like, here, have a cookie. Brandon Drury signed a 2-year deal with the Angels for $17 million. I mean, it's like he's in a different league. Back to hoops, the NBA. The Heat lost at home to the Bulls. What the heck? 113-103. What's up with that? They're not a good team.
No Butler.
Whatever. Please. Knicks have won 8 straight. Listen, I don't want to say things are crazy in New York, but the Mets have got George Steinbrenner reincarnated. The Knicks have won 8 in a row. They beat Golden State by 38. Now, the Warriors might miss Steph, Mark. I'm just saying. Utah beat Detroit by 15. Washington edged Phoenix by 113-110, but they got a new owner, Matt Aishiba, $4 billion. He's paying for the Suns and the Mercury. $4 billion. He owns United Wholesale Mortgage. If you have your mortgage through them, your rates may go up. That's all I'm saying.
This interest rate hike's done him well. He went and bought a team.
Denver beat Memphis by 14. Hockey, Toronto beat the Lightning, and did they ever? 4-1. Crosby, the game winner for the Penguins, 3-2 over the Rangers. And Seth may be in a foul mood, man. His Devils haven't won a game in like 3 weeks.
It's 5 in a row they've lost.
4-1. They lost to Carolina. Other winners, Philly, Winnipeg, Seattle, the Kings, and the Flames. And finally, Mark, the Masters decided, you know what? We're going to allow the LIV guys to play after all, and there's 16 of them. 1/3 of the LIV golfers are automatically eligible to play in the Masters, including 6 former champions, Bubba, Phil, DJ Sergio, Patrick Reed, and Charles Schwartzel. So the expectation is that everybody else is going to follow suit. I mean, if the Masters says something, most people will get in line. Do want to congratulate the 2 MAC teams who both won bowl games yesterday and both cost me money. Eastern Michigan for winning, Toledo for winning but not covering. Congratulations, though, for Toledo. They hadn't won a bowl in a while. They won the Boca Raton Bowl, and that was the starting 5.
Miller and Moulton, in case you missed any of the show, you can download it at all the usual places. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com or any place that you download your podcast. JP Shadrick and Seth Everett to join us on the show coming up in a little over an hour.
So a lot going on, Mark. I mean, big stuff, actually. Big stuff that took place in the last 12 or so hours. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for waking up with us here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. Golfers, Are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I said hi to Pat Chambers yesterday. Told him that I was with Miller and Moulton. He's like, "Oh yeah, we were just on the phone."
Were you awake for that?
Yeah, I was. Met Carlos Boozer too. God, he's so big.
What time we got Boozer on the show?
Bro, I'd love to have Boozer on the show. I just don't know what the hell we talked to him about. His son, I guess, or his sons. Cameron's really good. Like, really good. Like, the second he starts hitting the gym, he's gonna be unstoppable.
Oh, no. Oh, no. That sucks. Franco Harris died.
No.
Who?
Franco Harris, according to Janelle Hall, just days before the Pittsburgh Steelers plan to retire Franco Harris's 32 jersey, WTAE sources confirmed the stunning and tragic news that Franco has died. The death comes 2 days before the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. He was 72. That's WTAE in Pittsburgh. Yeah, they're 54 minutes ago. Cause of death not immediately known. Oh, that's too bad.
Could they have waited any longer to retire his number?
They don't retire a lot of jerseys there.
I know that. Your mother-in-law will be bummed. My mom's a huge Franco fan.
So is mine.
Oh. Yeah, my mom just texted. Sorry, Mom.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Some sad news that we just found out about during the top of the hour break. Hits both of our families, Mark, pretty hard.
Yeah, Franco Harris, Hall of Fame running back. 2 days before the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception, we find out that Franco Harris dead at the age of 72.
And weren't they going to retire his number?
Yes.
Was that this weekend?
That's
or
this weekend. They're playing the Raiders. It's the whole Steelers-Raiders thing. And
right? Then that's who the Immaculate Reception happened against. And, oh, boy. So, and had not heard any news that he was in any ill health either. Yep. My mom, huge she loved Franco. Not as much as Terry. I mean, Joe Namath, Terry Bradshaw. That was the 1-2 there for my mom.
Really?
Loved Franco.
it is for our mothers to have never have met. They're the same age, in 90 days apart. Both gigantic Neil Diamond fans.
Right.
Both had this Dolphins-Steelers thing, Steelers thing, and rooting for teams outside the area. I mean, they are
right.
spirits. It is crazy to me how many little things they have in common.
I agree with you. So, and your mother-in-law and your wife's family's all from Pittsburgh, so I know this will bust them up. So the sad news of Franco Harris's passing at the age of 72. I'm going to very awkwardly change subjects here to something that we did not get to in the first hour at all. And there's a lot to get to in the first hour to chew back on. All right. But if you'll we do ratings more than I think most shows. It's either part of our charm or a real big flaw. So the World Cup ratings came in.
Okay.
For the final. First off, I mean, there's a lot of number one market in the country. Take a guess. And it's a top 25 market. This is the top 56 markets in the country, by the way. And it's 1 through 56 in terms of the ratings.
Kansas City.
Interesting. 16th.
Okay, because I know they're a big soccer market. That Columbus would be the other one that I would look at. I know they've done really well with soccer numbers.
Washington, D.C. was the number one rated market in the country.
Okay.
It's a little surprising to me. New York was second. Boston fourth was very surprising to me. Don't know if it should have been.
That's a little shocking to me.
Yes.
I mean, D.C., very international city. I get that. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Number one Florida market for the World Cup final. Take a guess.
I'd guess Miami.
No. West Palm Beach, 17th. Fort Myers, Naples, Southwest Florida, where you are, Mark, 19th overall in the country. Second best soccer rating in the state. So West Palm 1, Fort Myers, Naples 2, Miami, Fort Lauderdale 3. They were the 21st rated market in the country, just ahead of Chicago. So, it's like West Palm 17, Fort Myers 19, Miami 21. I mean, they're all kind of right there. And then, you got to go Tampa St. Pete, 31st rated market, and that includes Sarasota, by the way, in their rating. Here's what surprised me. Orlando/Daytona was 42nd. I thought that was a hot soccer market.
They like their Orlando City team, but apparently don't like the World Cup.
Yeah. So now the World Cup bypassed Orlando as a destination for, first round matches and what have you. So Orlando 42, and I believe that wraps up the markets in the state that ranked, if you will. So Tampa St. Pete not included. Oh no, 31st for Tampa St. Pete, 42nd for Orlando. So those are your top 5 markets for the World Cup in the state. West Palm 1, Southwest Florida 2,
Miami-Dade 3, Tampa 4, and Orlando 5th.
Right. And Tampa St. Pete and Orlando distant from the first 3.
Do you have the total number of how many watched?
I don't have, but here's what I know. Only one NFL game beat it. It beat Sunday Night Football. It beat the early games. That only what was the big 425 game? Was that
Bucks
Bengals?
Bucks and Bengals.
Yeah, that's the only game that beat it. So that's how big it was. I mean, it went toe-to-toe with the NFL.
Think about that. And it shows you if there are games of consequence we watch. It doesn't mean that MLS is going to get ratings. It doesn't mean that the Premier League is going to get ratings. But when there are games of consequence, we watch. And it doesn't really matter what time. That's 10 in the morning on a Sunday.
Right. And that's obviously in the East.
Right.
That's 7 a.m. in the West. Now, of course, it was amazingly compelling and it went an extra hour, and that usually helps. And it did lead right into the NFL. I mean, how much was it benefited by folks who turned on Fox between noon and 1 o'clock to get ready for the NFL and went, they're still playing? Yeah, I'm sure they, benefited from that. I know a couple of people who tuned in around 12:20, 12:30 and went, I'll be damned. They're still playing. But so that's how it ranked in the state, top 5 markets in what order. But also that's how many total viewers, Mark, which I believe it was around 21 million. That also, by the way, does not include Telemundo. I'm just giving you Fox ratings.
So when you combine the two, my guess is that it'll beat the 425 Sunday window as well.
Well, my guess is there's a couple million, 2 to 4 million probably watching Telemundo. So you're right. I mean, it's kind of like when they do the Monday Night Football ratings and then they add on the Manning cast. I mean, if Fox did 21 million, how much do you think Telemundo did? 4?
At least 4.
Okay. And you're right. That would make it the most watched, and it turned out to be a 3-hour soccer match. So, it basically, we'll put our soccer match up against what you got. I mean, it is the World Cup final. It was Messi and Mbappe. It had gotten 3 weeks worth of hype in this country. But yeah, it was 10 a.m. on a Sunday.
And the U.S. did get out of group, which gave it another game to extend the hype, if you will.
Right. And the U.S. didn't make the 2018 World Cup. So, obviously this one, you had the time of day, which wasn't great, and the time of year, which hurt. But it does give you an idea, though, Mark, 4 years from now, potentially what that World Cup could be in the States.
It'll be a monster. I don't think I don't think soccer does a whole lot between now and then to add to that momentum. I do think the one thing you've been mentioning, if Messi comes to Miami, it will do wonders for soccer in that market.
Have you noticed what that, and forgive me, I don't know the name of the Miami MLS franchise. I'm guessing it's like FC Miami or Miami FC. I'm going to go out on a limb.
Way to go.
But I don't know if you've noticed, but they've made tickets available, individual game tickets available to a certain point in 2023. And then after that, you have to buy season tickets. They made that announcement quietly yesterday. And Tim Reynolds of the Associated Press picked up on it and tweeted it out and said, do they expect to be adding something at some point in 2023? Something that's like really appealing that you would have to spend so much more money to buy? So I'm in. I'm serious about that. I'm in. I will, it's not as convenient as when I lived in Southwest Florida. It's going to be 5 hours down the highway, but, I'll do it. I really will. To see somebody that good in person, even at this stage of he showed in the World Cup. It's just, man, if you're picking up Messi like I am for basically the first time, like in bulk, okay, and you realize, wow, this is him at 35. He must have been something at 26.
Exactly.
Damn.
Exactly.
This is like Jordan during the second three-peat with the Bulls and having a fan like Felipe go, man, he's amazing. And you turn and you look at him and you go, you should have saw him when he put 63 on Bird and the Celtics.
David, he was so good that the FIFA video games that they make, there was a consecutive streak of years that he was on the cover of the game. I think it was like 8 years in a row that he was on the cover. Every year, they just put him on the cover.
Did you see the celebration?
Oh, my goodness.
They had to airlift the team out. The bus got stuck. They were concerned for their safety. They had to helicopter the players to the final destination to ensure their safety and to get them there. 4 million people in the streets, apparently.
In the streets.
In the streets.
Buenos Aires was the center of party town.
I saw a CNN reporter doing a live shot. They sprayed him with shaving cream and champagne while he's trying to do the live shot. It made Mardi Gras look like a church picnic. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Got that right. I mean, the pictures of them just flooding the streets after the game were amazing. Every shot that they've shown of the fans there has just been incredible. And I think the good news that we all can now look back upon, and the two women who ripped their tops off in Qatar and broke every single Qatarian law that there was have made it out of the country safely and were not detained. That's really the breakdown that we needed.
Well, the Argentinians were going to make sure they made it home.
Miller and Moulton. JP Shadrick coming up in about 45 minutes. Seth Everett also on the program today. We thank you so much for listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again,
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Life Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Brown chicken. The final should be a good one. It's Emotep out of Philly versus Columbus. Emotep's got a kid, number 1, Ramir Barno. He's committed to FGCU. And then they have another stud, Trey Johnson. He's committed to... Oh, no, Trey plays for Lake Highlands. One sec. Justin Edwards. That's who it is. He's a stud. So, a future starting guard, because this guy Ramir, he's amazing. For FGCU, Justin Edwards.
Yes, it is, Jess. We are the only country, but since we're in America, it's soccer.
Right. Because we're also the only country that plays football. So we had to make a distinction.
Although, weren't we playing soccer before football was invented in this country?
Probably.
We weren't professionally.
Well, I mean, we didn't start playing professional football first either.
But probably.
And I don't know if you saw that there's a very detailed Mets question in the Twitch chat room there from Jess.
Yes.
On the
I
Liam
saw
Hendricks
the
and
answers.
the Brett
Yes.
Bawley and
Yeah, Brett Beatty. But yes. Yep. They got a bunch of expendable people now. They got 1 or 2 catchers. They've got 2 infielders. Now, Mello, we can't because apparently she watches and listens from time to time. So,
Jess, that's quite all right. That's what the Twitch chat room is for.
Yeah, totally.
And if you are just finding us by happenstance, we appreciate it. If you are a radio listener that jumped on, we appreciate it as well. There's a lot of teams. This is going to be your whole Dallas theory. Dallas could really screw this whole thing up for my Detroit Lions.
Yeah, we got a lot of teams that could be mailing it in.
Right. It is. I don't think we do we could do this at 7:30. I don't know what you got here.
I got nothing.
I got a play, by the way.
Good.
Good. What NBA game is it from?
It's not an NBA game.
What college basketball game is it from?
It is a college basketball game. Oh,
Klecko, you're right on that. That's probably why I watched so much Dallas Cowboys and Pittsburgh Steelers because the Lions were always blacked out. Always.
Brown Chicken, Archbishop Stepanak. That's another good team to watch. Their backcourt is disgusting. They got a kid named Boogie Fland and Danny Carbuccia. Sophomore and a junior guards. Very tough. Wheeler also. Isaiah Collier, he's really good.
$4 billion.
$15 seconds. By the way, I'm alive now. I'm sorry.
I bet they go left, right, Jess.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 after the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Sad news this morning, which came out in the last hour. Franco Harris passed away at the age of 72. And this was going to be a big weekend.
A huge celebration of Franco.
Yeah.
I mean, the NFL Network, when they've been advertising this game for over a week, that's all they've been advertising is, the Immaculate Reception, the anniversary, and hey, on Christmas Eve, we've got Steelers and Raiders, and they were going to retire Franco's jersey.
And the Steelers haven't retired a lot of numbers, right?
No.
I mean, Mean Joe, Terry. How many others from the dynasty got retired?
You've got Ernie Stautner, it's a older player.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Green, Franco, Bradshaw.
Right.
I believe that's it.
Right. I think Franco was the fourth and only the third from that dynasty. And remember, you got like 9 Hall of Famers.
I'm sorry. Those are only Joe Green and Franco are the only ones retired. There's a bunch of unofficially retired numbers. The officially retired numbers are number 70, number 75, and number 32, and that's it.
They didn't retire 12?
12 is not officially retired.
I thought they brought him back for the big ceremony and all that. Huh. It was like halftime of a Monday Night Football game. Interesting. But think about that. I mean, they got a few Hall of Famers there.
Right.
And they're like, retiring the jersey, though. That's a whole different ball game. We've kind of changed our tune as a country about, numbers used to be retired, but then especially in college when guys would then want to bring the number out of, back into circulation, and fans get bent out of shape about that. But the families of the player who had the number retired actually love it. Gets people talking about their dad or granddad or what have you. So
I like them unretiring the numbers in that regard with the collegiate players, because some of these numbers have been retired for a half century. And it does bring recognition back to that player and his family. And I think it's a nice way to recognize history.
I agree with that. I've changed my tune on that. There are very few things that I feel as if I have flip-flopped on or just changed my mind on. 25 years ago, it was paying the players. I was one of those, scholarship is enough. There's a difference between professional and college, student athletes. I did that
is the
whole
proper
thing.
voice to use for that, by the way.
Mhm.
A little smug. That is a
Right.
very good technique for that voice, David.
Right. Looking down from an Ivy League institution as to what it is that college athletics should be all about. Yes, that was the tune. And then about 25 years ago, it was kind of like, come on. So, but the whole, retiring of numbers, and I was like, no, absolutely not. It's an insult to put that number back in play. But then when the family members started going,
there you go.
No, it's actually honoring my dad and my granddad and my great granddad and my uncle all over again. No, we think it's great. And I will say, when you go into the court or the stadium and you see the name and the number, I mean, they are sufficiently honored, right?
Very much so. And to what the family says, they're honored then every Saturday when someone wears that jersey and you see the name out there and you can talk about that person. And it does bring it brings the history back.
I started thinking about it in the last 5 years also. If you go to, I guess it's technically AT&T Stadium, but Jarrah's place. And, obviously, Mark, this just in, the Cowboys have had a few good players over the years.
Right.
So you start looking at, everybody that they've honored, and you start going, this is a big stadium, but I think you guys are running out of room. But it does strike you that there's number 88, Drew Pearson. And then you go down about 50 yards, and there's number 88, Michael Irvin. And I remember thinking to myself when he was at the top of his game, are we going to have number 88, Des Bryant, too, one day? And what number, CeeDee Lamb?
88.
And so I just, so they put him in their Ring of Honor, but taking the jersey out of circulation, that's a very different thing.
Hey, I'm not fond of that maize and blue team in Ann Arbor, but they never retired number 1. When they give it out, it's special. And I think that's cool. It's like, you think, what is it? The Penn State does it with 11.
LSU does it with 18.
Right. And it's all of a sudden you get a hot recruit.
Right.
And all of a sudden we're going to give this linebacker 11.
Right. And you go,
and everybody goes, oh,
snap.
We got a freshman wearing 11, everybody.
Right.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. What do we got here? So you don't have to retire the number to honor the number and honor the player who wore the number. And I think you're right spot on with your thoughts on 88 in Dallas, how that's become a little fraternity, if you will.
Yeah. Because the first two are in the Hall of Fame and the number's still in circulation.
But before we made the jersey transition where we could let guys wear all these different numbers, you were running out of numbers, David, with some of these teams.
Well, yeah, the Yankees have taken so many numbers out of circulation. I mean, what, all the single digits are gone?
And most of the teens are gone.
They have had more good players than everybody else, though. You got to give them that. You know what the Yankees have been over the years, Mark? Clutch.
Time now for our Clutch Vodka play of the day. Felipe, what do you got?
Oh, how about those Hurricanes? They had a big win last night in Miami against number 6, Virginia. Yeah, number 6. Jaguars on the call.
66-64. Virginia a chance to win it or tie it. Beekman across the timeline. 2 seconds to go. Drives in, lost the ball. It's loose, and Miami wins. Reese Beekman never got a shot off. There's the light and joy all over the Watsco Center. Miami wins 66-64.
Joe Zagacki. Great
Canes
call.
Radio Network. There you go. And the Canes are ranked, by the way. I mean, that was a 2 3-point spread for 6th-ranked Virginia. They were a favorite, but only by 2 3 points. So,
And the Canes clutch at home. That's clutch with a K. Like Clutch Vodka. Check them out wherever you buy your spirits. Hashtag your drink with Clutch Spirits on any of your social media and go to clutchspirits.com to get great drink recipes like that peppermint martini they had on there last week.
Ooh, that sounds interesting.
No booze for you. We can't take a 25-year hiatus from spirits and then start jumping into martinis that taste good, David. That was like when the Blue Martini place opened for the first time and all these women are passing out because they're getting these, this doesn't taste like my normal gin martini. Let me have another one.
I didn't say I was going to go and be hooked on phonics. All right. I just said, ooh, that sounds interesting. It does. Now, yes, I'm an alcohol wuss. Okay. I'm a beer only guy. Made that transition in my mid-30s. I'm like, you know what? Can't handle my booze anymore. You need to admit your defeat and move on.
But maybe on one of your next trips back, you and I will sit down. We'll knock down some Clutch peppermint martinis for an afternoon.
Ooh-wee.
Then we'll go on Twitch. Miller and Moulton, we thank you so much for listening. JP Shadrick in 30 minutes right here on the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, 9's retired in both, Klecko. But 9 is not retired throughout hockey. Gretz is the only one. I don't even think 66 is.
I don't believe so, no.
You actually...
Because the sport didn't like Lemieux the way they liked Gretzky. Could you imagine Lemieux playing today? Could you imagine?
No, absolutely
we were talking
not.
about that. Jimmy Brown, my guy does my pool, the former Everblade. He was over and we started talking. Jimmy Brown said to me, because I was telling him I was at the Blades game. Jimmy goes, you realize, he goes, I got chased around. Because he was a good player at lower levels. He goes, they chased me around the ice. No one, the ref wouldn't do a damn thing about it. That guy chased me around the ice. You defended Lemieux by sticking a stick in his ribs and not letting him skate through the neutral zone. Could you imagine with a 2-line pass and not being able to put a stick on somebody what Mario Lemieux could do? Good gracious.
Klecko, I want to make sure I have this right. You think that the Lions should retire number 9?
No, the Red Wings.
Hockey.
Oh,
We're talking about hockey.
I wanted to make sure, yeah. Okay.
I don't know if the Lions should retire any numbers.
That's what I was saying.
20.
Yeah,
Barry?
20.
Barry and Billy Sims before him. Billy Sims was a badass.
Man, Barry was so... My mom loves Barry Sanders.
Had him at the Super Bowl too.
Yes, we did. That was a little thrill for you. That's one of those. That's when you're just like, kid from Michigan. That's Barry flipping Sanders that we're.
Yeah, riding the elevator up with Eisman was interesting at an Everblades game one time when he was there. I'm like, Steve Eisman's next to me in the elevator. Keep your cool. Keep your cool.
Exactly.
Is Earl Campbell historically underrated?
No. It's in the
No.
Hall of Fame.
He was a beast.
His Mostert there, when he ripped off that run against the Bills Saturday night, that was an Earl Campbell run. Breaking 2 tackles, stiff arming the guy down, having the speed to take it down the sidelines. That was an Earl Campbell run.
It was earlier this year that I really started to realize who Earl Campbell was and how disgusting he was. He was good. He was really good.
Killed people.
Yeah, just ran through people.
In those really good uniforms, too.
Yeah.
Their version of Carolina blue, Mark. I love the Oilers helmets.
I liked the Oilers helmets.
I really did.
In fact, I had that division. That was a Christmas present. You remember the electric football where the guys danced?
Yeah.
That was a Christmas present one year where I got because I was a Steelers fan. Steelers, Bengals, Browns, and Oilers. I liked the Steelers and the Oilers. Didn't care for the 2 Ohio teams.
Yeah.
But I liked the Oilers because of Earl Campbell. And Bum.
What happened to the Oilers?
They're the Tennessee Titans.
Like, why'd they change the name?
Well, they moved.
Wouldn't really make much sense.
They moved. Now the Lakers, came from Minneapolis and they kept the name. The fact it's the Utah Jazz, everybody laughs about, because they started in New Orleans. That made sense. Is there a jazz club in Utah? Don't think so.
There certainly wasn't when the team went there. There might be.
Oh, yeah, right. There's one now.
Little no call at the end of your Rangers game there. Ranger player got tripped going to the net pretty badly. They didn't call it with 40 seconds left. Jerry was not very happy.
That's
30 seconds.
Hey, Washington Giants, Rangers, Penguins. I just, you know what? I got a dinner date. Okay, got an Uber scheduled to pick me up at 10. I don't have time for this.
15 seconds. We can't forget to ask JP about the pool at the stadium.
Yes. Okay.
We have to ask him.
Good point.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour, JP Shadrick joins us at the top of the hour. Not only part of the Jags radio network, he's calling Dolphins Packers for Westwood One on Christmas afternoon. Most of the NFL games this week, remember, are on Christmas Eve, but there is a Christmas Day. It's a triple header, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Aren't they doing like the 1, 4:30, 8?
And we get a lot of Florida because the Dolphins have the 1 o'clock game and the Bucks have the 8 o'clock game.
Man, I mean, they just started this thing up a couple years ago. Remember, it was a trial. We had to work it at Fox. It was Vikings Saints. It was on a Friday. And Kamara scored 6 touchdowns, and the game did a great rating. And the NFL went, And then last year, they scheduled 2 games. Now they're up to 3. Poor NBA. Just lost your marquee day of the year.
Poor NBA or poor CBS and NBC, because CBS gets the Broncos and the Rams middle of the day.
Yeah. And, that on paper 5, 6 months ago,
Right.
That looks solid.
Russ and Stafford be a big playoff implication type of game.
Sure, 2 winning teams.
Right. And
Bada
now
bing,
just to see where the Lions and Seahawks get to draft.
You got that right.
And then Bucks and Cardinals, and why we care, obviously, in this market because we're in Florida, but nationally,
That is 6-8 against 4-10, isn't it?
yes, it is.
Although this just in, Mark, I don't know if you're aware, this Tom Brady guy draws ratings.
I
He
will be
does.
interested to see what type of Christmas ratings Tom Brady gets taking on the Arizona Cardinals.
Well, it's Christmas night. But let me ask you this. Do you ever go to a movie on Christmas?
No.
I know you okay. So when, because Christmas has become a big movie day. A lot of movies
Right.
now, post-pandemic, are there any big movie days? But pre-pandemic, for a generation, there was many a blockbuster movie that opened on
On
Christmas.
Christmas Day. Right.
And I remembered being a young adult at the time, and at first I'm like, opening on Christmas, it's Christmas. Who's going to go? And then it's like, well, you're done with Christmas by what? Middle of the afternoon. And, the younger people, it's like, well, I'm ready to go out. I've been cooped up with all these damn adults all day. I want to go out and have some fun. So, by Christmas night, who knows? Brady will replace the movies, Mark.
Okay. I will say the one thing that this week won't happen, but David's been talking about it for a couple of weeks now in regards to the Cowboys and the Eagles. But there are so many teams that are relying on other teams to win games to try to get into the playoffs that however these teams finish their season has an effect on a lot of football teams, particularly in the NFC when you've got Seattle, Detroit, Washington, and the Giants all vying for 2 playoff spots. Well, the teams that are in right now in Washington, the Giants, may be the benefactors of playing teams in their division that have nothing to play for.
Now, we've seen over the years, the guys that are playing will play hard. But what will likely happen is there's a very strong case that Dallas will have nothing to play for the regular season finale. And is that at Washington or do they host Washington? But it'll most likely be a big game for Washington. And for Dallas, it'll be, could we forfeit? Can we not play this? I'd really like it if we cannot play this. Philly hosting the Giants. The Eagles will have nothing to play for. Only thing that can happen that day is guys can get hurt. Now I know they'll have the bye, and so they may want to play their guys a half, keep them sharp type deal. And then put the second stringers in the second half. But remember, you don't have a bunch of second stringers in the NFL. The rosters aren't very big. You could Green Bay, if Miami beats them Sunday, which some of us think they will do, the Packers, for all intents and purposes, are done. They're not mathematically done, but we all know they ain't getting in at 8 and 9. Well, Rodgers and the Packers have already talked publicly about, well, if we're not going to the playoffs, I may step aside and let Jordan play a game or two. So does that mean Detroit at Green Bay, regular season finale, the Lions get Jordan Love? Now, I'll say this, if I'm Green Bay, because they finish at home
Yes,
with the Vikings and the Lions.
that's correct.
And yes, you can make the case the Vikings have something to play for. They're trying to hold off San Francisco and remain the 2 seed. But there's a part of me, Mark, let's just say the Dolphins win Sunday. If you're the Packers, do you say to Rodgers, we're going to play Jordan against the Vikings. But if that finale against Detroit and Detroit's playing to get in the playoffs, you're playing. You got that? Because we're gonna keep them out of the playoffs. That'll be our playoff game. I mean, if you're Green Bay, do you do something like that?
I think you either play Rodgers all the way or you don't play him all the way. I don't think you go back and forth. Now, I'd have no problem going to Rodgers saying, Aaron, we got Minnesota that you can knock out of the 2 and Detroit that you can knock out of the playoffs. Is that something you're interested in? Because we're interested in doing that. but I don't think you can not play him 1 week and play him the next. I just don't think, I mean, you obviously can, but that doesn't make sense. If I were Aaron Rodgers, I don't know if I'd be as into that as if I'm just playing the rest of the regular season.
Gotcha. But that's some of what Mark's alluding to. There are plenty of matchups out there in which teams, like we believe New England at Buffalo, Buffalo's going to be playing for the 1. So, they're going to be playing all their guys, etc. But it is possible. I mean, it is possible that Buffalo's clinched the 1 before the regular season finale, at which point is Josh Allen really running around? And if so, for how long? And New England's in there trying to make the playoffs. But just throwing that out there, something to keep in mind for a couple weeks from now. It could be a crazy final week. All those division games, who's got something to play for and who doesn't.
And who will get the upsets, because all of the teams that are fighting, basically every team that's fighting to those last playoff spots in the NFC, they're all underdogs this week. The Giants are an underdog. Washington's a big underdog. Seattle is a big underdog. I think the Lions are the only one they're a favorite, a 2.5-point favorite, but someone will win. Someone will beat somebody they're not supposed to, because that's what's happened every week in the National Football League.
Mark, there's a very, very likely possibility that when these week's games come and go, and we on Monday or Tuesday do if the playoffs started today, that the Detroit Lions will be the 7th seed. Because they're a half a game behind Washington, and Washington's got to play the Niners.
Right.
And Seattle's got what? The Chiefs or something like
Chiefs.
that? Right. So they're likely to lose. And that's who the Lions are tied with, but Seattle owns the tiebreaker. So, Mark, if you put a loss on Washington, which makes them, 7-7-1.
Right.
Put a loss on Seattle, which makes them 7-8. When Detroit wins to go to 8-7, that puts them as the 7th seed.
It sure does.
Just so you know. 1-6. Started 1-6. Eagles were 2-5 last year when they won 7 of their last 10 to finish with a winning record and sneak in as the 7th seed. I will say, adding that extra playoff team in each conference, this is only the second year of it. It's working.
No doubt. And it's working because it's keeping a team like Green Bay, who has a huge fan base, huge fandom. They're still in it. And think about what the scene's going to be in Miami on Christmas Day. What's the fan base going to be like at that game? How many Dolphins fans versus how many Packers fans? 60-40 Dolphins on Christmas Day. They've lost 3 in a row. It's Green Bay. They travel as well as any team in the league.
Well, and when that schedule came out, how many Packers fans said, let's do Christmas in South Beach?
Bingo.
And it doesn't matter to them if they're 6-8 or 12-2.
Because to us, 55 is going to be freezing. To them, it's going to be balmy.
Right. I did walking in Monday. We did walk past 4 guys who had their shirts off. And you just, you know me, I like to do some R&D. All right. But the guys I was with, they would not have appreciated me doing some R&D. But I really wanted to just so what are you guys thinking right now? Just
How
so
many
you know.
shots of whiskey have you done before you took
Right.
the shirt off?
You do know the game hasn't started yet, right? I mean, if you're going to go with this look, that means you're going with this look for, about 5 hours. Let's talk about this. So, yes, Mark, we could have a lot of Packers fans in Miami looking like those 2 Argentinian women at the World Cup.
Well,
could be a lot of skin.
In theory.
Right.
In theory. I don't think they'll look that good. But that's just me.
No, in theory. I just meant in terms of the amount of skin.
Gotcha.
That gets exposed to the sun. That's all. Miller and Moulton. Your thoughts on the Masters? Welcoming all the LIV golfers who meet their qualifications, 16 of them, by the way, including 6 former champions.
You know I'm all for it. This was expected by me. I did not think in a million years that Augusta National would tell a defending champion that they couldn't come to their tournament because they're part of a tour that the PGA Tour doesn't like. I've already seen that the 9/11 family group is planning on protesting in Augusta. I'll be curious how that's met in Augusta, if any sponsors will threaten Augusta National. They only have 6.
Well, I can tell you that when they protested the LIV event at Trump Bedminster, that first off, they didn't protest in front of the gate of the golf tour. They literally protested 2 miles down the road on a corner. Number one. No, and you and I are both lucky enough to have been to Augusta. They ain't getting anywhere near that place. I mean, they could be across the street, I guess.
They could be at the IHOP.
They could be
getting your pancakes and paying for cheaper parking. They might be able to get you.
Right. Next to Daly and his Hooters van. They could be right there. John signing memorabilia and then protesting right next to it. I mean, that could be lively. But, I mean, come on. I guess they'll get some media attention. But by April of 2023, I mean, people, I think, have made up their minds on this, haven't they?
Well, and for the most part, you and I we've talked more live golf than most shows. I'm curious if that's watchable next year, where we're going to be able to see live golf, to see if they are able to keep any momentum that they had from a media standpoint, because they were getting a lot of media exposure, but no exposure for their tournaments. So for a lot of us, it'll be the first time we've seen a lot of these golfers in a long, long time, David.
That is true. That is true. For a lot of fans, they have not seen DJ and, Phil even. Phil could have played last year. He sat out. DJ, I don't think, had committed yet to the LIV.
That's correct.
The word was out about Phil. So the 2 opens, U.S. and British, have said that they're not going to change anything. The PGA Championship is still on the fence. And the guy who runs the PGA is best friends with the commissioner of the PGA Tour. That would be something. That would be something if the PGA Championship is the one that says, nope, sorry.
Well, and they can get away with it with a lot of guys, but one of the players that they can't really get away with it's Mickelson, because he's still in the circle of winning the championship where he's got to be invited back.
So's Koepka. I mean, if they're doing it for one, they'd have to do it for the other. And so, but anyway, the Masters coming out yesterday and saying that the 16 LIV golfers, they did say, Mark, that we're not happy with the state of golf. I mean, they did badmouth the LIV tour without mentioning it by name, but then did but we're going to, invite them, blah, 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 and hope that one day we can work out the differences in kumbaya.
But there's nothing close to a kumbaya coming between these two sides.
No.
They may even be as far apart as they've ever been, because they both want the other commissioner's head, and both of them are laughing at the other side. JP Shadrick is coming to us next to talk some Jacksonville Jaguars right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, find what's back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686. Or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
We're listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Morning, JP.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for doing this via video feed.
You got it.
Look at you in the office early.
Whew. The coffee's flowing, but we're here, baby. It's good.
By the way,
that's a backdrop right there, guys.
Yeah,
that's how it's supposed to look.
Yeah, so we're in our studio. We got this is our radio studio also.
Okay.
All in one big room, but
wow.
They make it fancy behind us for all our video stuff. So
that's sharp.
Yes.
I was intimidated just typing your email address this morning, JP, having to put that NFL.Jaguars. That's
if there's any team in the NFL that is not intimidating, it would be the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Come on now.
Times are changing.
Times are changing.
A new day is dawning.
You know, we were talking about this. If they can somehow pull this off and win the division, the 7 quarterbacks that could be in the playoffs in the AFC are staggering. Staggering. Still a lot of work to do, but
our guy could be one of the top 4, 5 of those 7. And next year could even move up from that. He's playing that well right now.
Tell you what, though, it's going to be tough to crack the top 3. I mean,
I know, but
it's
give it 3 years, Dave.
No, I know. I'm just saying though, that top 3.
Yeah.
You know how certain Olympic sports it's really tough to medal. Going to be tough to medal in the AFC quarterback room.
All you got to do is get on a run 1 year and go get one, and they can all pound sand.
It's you feeling it, feeling it. That must have been some good coffee.
Ooh. I haven't gone to bed. Let's be honest. I've just stayed up the whole night. I'm on a rager since Sunday.
Well, you got Thursday night. I mean, you have to all the stuff that you have to do during the week. Then the games on Thursday, and then you have a Sunday game.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
well,
by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, we're kind of this week we canceled a couple shows today, so we don't have Jaguar shows today. So I'm just getting the pregame done, and then the game. I'm driving down Friday just to get down there, and then game Sunday and
spend their credit card is what you're doing basically.
Yeah. And then I'll drive back after the game Sunday night. So I'm fired up. Thanks.
That's another big one too.
Yeah, I mean, both teams got to have it. I mean,
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty much losing out for the Packers, but the Dolphins are right there.
We were just talking as to what the fan ratio may be. We think it's going to be 60-40 because we think a whole bunch of Packers fans, when they saw the schedule in May, just decided we're doing Christmas in South Beach.
I could see that. I could see that a lot, actually. Because, I mean, there's Packers fans everywhere anyway.
Right.
Where I am in Southwest Florida, JP, I'd say the Packers are third most popular team.
Yeah. I mean, you should have seen the amount of Cowboy fans in this place on Sunday.
Oh, we had one of our listeners who's a Cowboy fan who drove from here to that, drove Southwest Florida.
Yep. They were quiet walking out.
Yeah, I bet they
were.
were.
They were.
10 seconds.
Sorry.
Thanks for doing this.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
8 o'clock hour on a hump day. Thanks so much for being with us, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. If you take in Miller and Moulton via twitch.tv, you can see JP Shadrick for the first time. He is joining us courtesy of the video link, already at work, live in Jacksonville Jaguar Studios. JP, good morning.
Good morning, and let me tell you, me in high definition is a little better than you two guys in high definition. This is an upgrade. Oh, I don't know. I'm just saying, but it's nice to be with you. I don't know.
He's a guest on the show, so I won't take any shots right now. I will just let that slide off because JP is feeling it. The Jags control their own destiny, and they were in the same spot a couple of weeks ago. They went to Detroit and laid an egg, but they beat the Cowboys and a short week for the Jets. What did they accomplish from losing that Detroit game? What's happened? Because obviously that was a big spot, but beating Dallas an even bigger spot for Jacksonville.
Yeah, that ostrich egg pretty much woke them up. I think there was a little bit of the tone after that game that maybe they just thought it was Detroit and we can kind of just. There wasn't a lot of energy going into the game. And I didn't quite understand why. I didn't get that, but it's still, you have to remember, it's a young football team, a lot of young players, and Detroit doesn't, for some reason, it's the NFL, but they just didn't get up for the game, and they were blasted, and the defense didn't get off the field at all. So the Lions didn't punt all day. So I think that shook them and woke them up a little bit, and here they come back and start playing better football again, and it's just carried over since then. So they've had to rally to do it. They're not up 17-0. They're down by 17 and rallying and finding a way to win this past week. You can't make a living doing that, but they've done it twice this year. They were down to the Raiders by 17 and rallied to win and found a way to do it. So, and it really kind of turned. This whole thing turned after the London game, right? So, that game was just an awful display. The quarterback had a couple interceptions that were, in just terrible situations. It woke him up. And he said yesterday that, okay, man, I didn't really change a whole lot in terms of timing, of preparation, anything like that. It's just I put it all behind me and hyper-focused on what I could do to get better this week and this week alone. And that next week was the Raiders game. And that's when the run of great quarterback play started. They've ridden that wave for the most part offensively. The defense has been suspect here or there, certainly in that Detroit game. But now we're on this thing called apparently it's a winning streak. So there's 2 straight games. I didn't know that, really that could happen. But they're going to have to go on a longer winning streak to really keep this thing alive.
JP Shadrick, over a decade with the Jaguars. That's why he's not very familiar with winning streaks. which is more than one. You can follow JP on Twitter at JP Shadrick. He not only is part of the Jags radio network, Westwood One play-by-play college football, which becomes NFL Sunday in Miami, broadcasting the Packers and Dolphins live to the nation. JP, congratulations on that. Okay, 14 TDs, 1 interception in his last 6 games, and has cut down on the turnovers, even though he had the fumble late against Dallas. But is it a receiver that he's gone to? I mean, is he just, does he look different? I mean, he says he focused more after the London game. I mean, come on, it's got to be more than that, JP, right?
Well, I mean, you got to consider, too, that I think the focus is just not throwing it into stupid areas, right? There's part of that. Like, don't throw it into triple coverage at the 1 yard line. Honestly, it might be that simple. That was the one that I think that certainly bothered him. It definitely bothered Doug Peterson to no end, because there's not much he could have gone. He can't go out there and throw it. All he can do is say, Trevor, we can't have that. And that was the one, because that had happened earlier in the year against Houston as well. But remember, too, there's different types of receivers on this team. Last week, it was Zay Jones, right? I mean, 3 touchdowns, career high yardage, longest catch of his career. And then another week is Christian Kirk doing the same thing, going over 100. 2 weeks ago, it was Evan Ingram. And then last week, he had the most catches on the team. So those 3 free agent additions are sharing the responsibility here, and Trevor's finding them in different ways. If one guy's doubled, the other guy's not, they're moving them around. This is what they designed, and it's actually working out. And all 3 of those receivers, by the way, if one of them's already past career bests in catches and yards, the other 2 are within a game or 2, and they're all going to get career best seasons this year with that quarterback throwing it around to them. So having the options helps, and just having a little more maturity, a little more time on task. He's 14 games into this offense now. That matters, right? I mean, it's hard to do that week 3 if you're just trying to figure out timing and who's where and what. So I think that's where they are.
Well, and they're going to have a 1,000-yard rusher in Etienne as well. I mean, the way they've been able to mix this up, I think it just points to what you're saying, JP, is that whether it's audibilizing at the line of scrimmage, whether it's going through his progressions, we're seeing the growth of Trevor Lawrence right before our eyes, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and and he can be better, too. That's the scary thing. He's still missing a few things, but he's still it's the highest level we've seen him so far. And he's got a little bit of a killer instinct, too. There was a little talk early in the season. Does this guy have fire? Like, what gets him going? What makes him mad? I've never seen him mad, Well, apparently throwing interceptions at the goal line makes him mad, and losing football games gets under his skin. And hitting your center on a kneel-down play in Nashville in the last play of the game gets him mad enough to go in the face of a defensive lineman and almost grab his face mask, and they have to tear him away at the end of the game. I think that if he didn't have the respect, which he already did in the locker room, that took it another step higher at the end of the Titans game. When the Titans took that cheap shot, he was the one that went in the pile. And then pointed to the scoreboard at the end in Nashville, and in their face. And okay, wow, this guy's here. This is our leader. You don't mess with him. He's not going to mess with you guys. Like, we're all in this thing together. So he's got the locker room rallied. He's got the city rallied around him. And now they just have to go win the division. Now it's right there in front of them. Now it would be a little disappointing if they don't finish it.
You mentioned getting the city around him. You're friends with Tony Boselli. You do things each week with Tony Boselli. Yeah, the Jags had that run 5 years ago, but that's what it was. It was a meteoric late in the year run. But Boselli was there when, Brunell and company, and they went to the 2 conference championship games and what have you. Has he looked around and said anything kind of like, this kind of reminds me of us in 96 and 97?
Yeah, well, the 96 year is what a lot of those people bring up, right? Because they had a losing record around a similar point.
They were 3-7 and ran the table.
Yeah, and ran the table and won in weird ways. Like, this team is winning in some different ways, some of them weird, right? So but a win is the only thing that matters at the end of it. Does this have the same feel a little bit? I wasn't around here in 96, but some of those guys say, hey, it's just we got on a run, won a couple games. Let's just go win them all, right? I mean, that was kind of their mindset. And going in that locker room yesterday, talking to some of the players, it's hey, that's what we have to do. We got to go do it. Okay, let's go give it a shot. And whether it's a road game Thursday night in New York in the rain against the Jets, who also need it, or against a Houston Texans team in 2 weeks that you haven't beaten in 9 tries, certainly on the road. And then the Titans here, we know how difficult that has been historically. Okay, well, this is a different feeling team. Am I going to predict that they'll win them all? No, but they might go win them all. Why not? That's got to be the mindset of the team, because there's no other way. You don't want to have to rely on anybody else moving ahead. And they finally see what Doug Peterson was talking about. These meaningful games in December, they finally played in a couple. They had not really done that before in a long time, certainly in this organization. They've lost one of those and knows what that feels like now in Detroit, and now they've won a couple. And now I think since they've finished it and figured out what it means to be in control of your own destiny, now you just got to go figure out how to go win it.
You know, I brought up the Detroit game earlier. Detroit just got done beating the Jets in a close one after scoring all these points. It looks to me like this week is kind of that similar thing for the Jags. They're going to have to go into New York and win a 20-17 game, maybe get a couple stops from the defense. This is going to be a different type of win. I don't think they can go score in this type of weather, go score 35. This is going to be more of a gut check game. Are the Jags ready for that type of game?
Well, they played in a similar scenario, at least in weather, against the Eagles earlier in the season, and they were in that game, but Trevor Lawrence fumbled the ball 4 times, and it was raining. It was 50 degrees. It was in Philadelphia. They were running it all day. I think Philly ran for like 220 yards or something on the day, something like that. So you might have to grind this one out. Sure, it's going to be in the 40s, raining, all that, that comes with that. And Trevor said, hey, we might do some wet ball things this week. They didn't have a full practice. I don't know how you can really do a wet ball drill when you're wearing a hat, but, whatever. That's another point. But the defense has to step up and do that. Can they consistently do that in a game? They have not really proven that. Early, the Cowboys put up 3 touchdowns in 3 straight drives. Well, you can't, like I said earlier, you can't make a living doing that. They settled in and gave their offense a chance a little later, got some 3 and outs, a takeaway. Okay, that's fine. They settled for a couple field goals. But if you're down 21 already doing that and your offense can't figure it out, you're toast. So the defense really has to tighten down on this one. The secondary play has been a little suspect, especially at corner, but last week they played well. So we'll see.
Very tight on time. Got about 15 seconds. The loss of Cam Robinson. Can they overcome it?
Yes, Walker Little's a second-round pick for a reason. He played well at right and left tackle last week. It's his the rest of the way. He better play well. This is an opportunity.
He's JP Shadrick. He's part of the Jags Radio Network and one of the play-by-play voices of Westwood One. He's got Packers Dolphins Sunday afternoon on Westwood One. JP, congratulations. Be safe and Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays, guys. Appreciate you as always. Have a great day.
Follow JP on Twitter at JP Shadrick, SHADRICK. JP Shadrick, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton.
It's going to be a tough one for the Jags. They've got to do it with defense. I think this is going to be a different game in that they're expecting the bad weather. They're expecting this to be about 39 points for an over-under. So you're talking about a game that they haven't won this year. And can Jacksonville win that game? They are playing the Jets, and it is Zach Wilson at quarterback. There is a benefit there. Miller and Moulton. Seth Everett coming up in 25 minutes right here on the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts, flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Round chicken. I don't know if you're still here, but if you're planning on going early, first game starts at 9:30, and Canterbury, which is one of the local teams, they're playing North Laurel from Kentucky. North Laurel has a kid named Reed Shepherd who's really, really good. He's committed to Kentucky. I think his dad played at Kentucky as well.
You sure did.
Was his dad also named Reed Shepherd?
I believe Jeff Shepherd. I believe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 12:50 also. That game, Newton versus Vashon. Some good players in that one. Newton's got a kid named Steven.
We got it, Felipe. There's good players playing in every game. It's
He's asking me a question. I'm just
an hour and a half ago.
Yeah, I know.
By the way, Ryan, Quinnen Williams, quote unquote, game time decision, but the Jets said yesterday, or someone with the Jets did, that they think it's better than 50-50 he plays. Well, you won't, Adam, see that, because if the Jags make it, they're going to make it as the 4 seed. Well, I guess you could. I mean, if Baltimore wins the division, since he'd fall to the 5, and it's possible.
They play each other last game of the season.
Yeah, I mean, the last 2 for Cincy are Buffalo and Baltimore.
That's probably the game that gets flexed, isn't it? Baltimore, Cincinnati.
NBC usually likes to have a game where it's win and you're in, lose and you're out.
Gotcha.
And I don't know if one of those will present itself. It
Gotcha.
could be Detroit, Green Bay. It could be.
If both of them win their games, it could be winner in. I mean, it really right for both of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they'd love to get Aaron Rodgers on with a winner go home type game.
Mm-hmm.
God, I would laugh my ass if somehow it was going to be Bucks Falcons for the division. And after the weekend, Seattle has the third pick, the Lions the 4th, Philadelphia the 9th, David. Houston with 1-12.
That's so rich. Chicago 2? Are the Bears right now the 2? Yeah, Canada Relief. We said it earlier that the Rams and the Broncos are playing for the Lions and the Seahawks for draft position.
Ten seconds.
DC, I'm guessing it's the Packers if Rodgers plays.
There we go.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. A lot going on in the last 18 hours in the sports world. First off, the tragic news this morning, Franco Harris unexpectedly passing away this morning at the age of 72. Right before Franco was to be honored, coming up on the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. They were going to retire his jersey. The Steelers have only retired like 2 or 3 numbers in their illustrious history. And so Franco Harris dead at the age of 72. Overnight, Carlos Correa, who was going to be introduced yesterday as the newest member of the San Francisco Giants, 13 years, $350 million. Well, the Giants, before the press conference, said, yeah, we got a medical issue here we're a little concerned about. We need to revisit this. David Sampson, when he heard the news, took to Twitter and said, yeah, Scott Boras is Correa's agent, and he doesn't renegotiate. So either they need to go forward with this or Scott's moving on. And sometime between 1 and 5 a.m., Scott Boras and Carlos Correa moved on to the Mets. 12 for $315. That's 26 and a quarter a year. So, Mark, I think it's safe to say that the left side of the Mets infield, Francisco Lindor, who signed one of those ridiculously long contracts, and now Correa, I think the Mets know who the left side of their infield is going to be for the foreseeable future.
And now we know who the Yankees shortstop is going to be.
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
Thank you, Susan. Appreciate that. Today is a monster day in college football. It is the early signing period beginning, and most of the signings will be today.
Yeah, which really has become signing day.
Right.
I mean, there'll be a handful of players that won't sign, but by and large, this is it.
And we're going to let the professionals do their job today, and then we're going to bring Bud Elliott on in our 7 o'clock hour tomorrow, and we're going to go, okay, so tell us what happened.
And who flipped. That's really what this is. Like I just saw during the break, and I'm not going to bother the player's name, but the first big flip happened. A 4-star quarterback that was going to Baylor is now going to Oregon.
Okay.
That's
because I think a quarterback left Oregon for UCLA over the weekend.
Correct. So those are the stories that we're going to hear today. Does Miami lose any of the guys they have? Does Florida lose any of the guys they have? Does Florida State lose any of the guys they have? They're all recruiting pretty well. And right now, no one's been flipped, at least through the last break of the 3 Florida schools.
Gators got good news late last night. Graham Mertz the starting quarterback at Wisconsin the last 3 years, he said, I'm transferring to Florida. And I'm going to use that COVID year. So I got 2 years remaining. So there. Now, we'll see if the Gators have to use them for both years. I got to be honest, Florida fan. What you'd want to do is use them for 2023, but then have somebody else better for 2024. Like maybe this California recruit, Rashada, who's a 4 or 5-star quarterback, depending on which service you subscribe to. Maybe you let this, Mertz guy handle 2023, and then you groom Rashada, and then he takes over. I'm just saying. Because Mertz, I think, is a pretty good college quarterback, but he ain't great.
If he were great, he wouldn't have been transferring after 3 years. You know what he'd been doing? Declaring.
Right. So there, yeah, that's some of what's out there. As Mark said, we're just going to let today. You want to talk about dust needing to settle? Whew.
It was hard enough before the portal and NIL to try to keep track of this. It is a full-time job to do it now, and that's why 24/7 will do wall-to-wall coverage on this.
Yeah.
And we'll get Bud Elliott, who works with 24/7, to come on our show tomorrow to break it all down for us in a good 15-minute segment.
Yeah, they're the best right now in our eyes. So we're going to let them do their thing, and we'll pick up the pieces tomorrow.
You know, I didn't realize, David, with the passing of Franco Harris, and I guess I should have, but you're the historian of the show. I didn't realize that game was the first ever Steeler playoff win. It just never occurred to me.
The franchise was horrendous for 2 generations. And that was, they finally made the playoffs in 72. You know, Chuck Noll in 69, drafting Joe Green, and then Bradshaw, and then, yep, here you go. That was year 4, I think, and then it began. And I think, Mark, it's why that play is what it is in Pittsburgh, because also that began the dynasty as far as they're concerned.
There's no doubt. It's why when you get off the train at the airport and take the escalator down to baggage, the first thing you see is a statue of Franco Harris catching a football.
Right. Off his shoe tops. And you're like, huh, I'll be darned. They lost the next week to the Dolphins, but they hosted the game. Right. Right. And once again, the 15-0 Dolphins had to go on the road in the AFC Championship game. Why? Well, they alternated, and it was the Steelers' turn. And by Steelers, I mean that division. They had 3 divisions, and they just alternated. You know, it was like the World Series up in, national. Even number year, that's a National League year for home field advantage. Odd number year, it's American League. Yeah, but the American League team won 20 more games. I don't know what to tell you. It's not their year.
But the fact that they were retiring his jersey and it's the 50th anniversary on Saturday of the Immaculate Reception is just unreal that this happened in the timing of this. Sad news for the Pittsburgh sports world today with the passing of Franco Harris.
And one other NFL note in which the word was coming out last night. It's not official, but they're dotting I's and crossing T's apparently. Sunday tickets going to YouTube TV.
There you go, folks. That's your new service you're going to need in your house is YouTube TV if you want to watch the NFL Sunday Ticket.
They are reportedly paying an extra $1 billion than what DirecTV was paying. And DirecTV had announced that they were out. They announced that 2 years ago. They're out. But the thought was it was not going to go to Google's YouTube TV. It was going to go elsewhere.
Apple TV was the front runner for the longest time. There was talk of Amazon, but we all thought that the NFL was not going to go to Amazon. They've already given them the Sunday or the Thursday night football package. And what the NFL has been so great at is spreading out their television entities. So we figured it was going to another service, but YouTube was really not in the talks for the longest time.
ESPN Plus really wanted it. All right. They wouldn't go to the $2.5 billion a year that reportedly Google is going to. But Apple dropped out over the weekend. They and the NFL were in a death stare, and Apple apparently decided, you know what, you guys are asking for too much. And not just money. It's apparently the restrictions that Apple TV balked with. And then the NFL didn't like the fact that Apple TV was going to give it away too cheaply. So here we are. Sunday Ticket next year, YouTube TV. $2.5 billion per, an extra billion into the pot. Salary cap's going up, folks. Going up.
And I will be very curious as to what YouTube is going to charge for the Sunday Ticket. Because there were a lot of incentives for DirecTV in those first years to give it to you for next to nothing. $2.5 billion. I can't see a lot of deals coming down the YouTube TV pipeline for the NFL Sunday Ticket.
So just wanted to throw that out there. Make your plans accordingly. Seth Everett's weekly appearance is next. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida.
Hi, Seth.
Hi. I felt like General Zod in Superman 2. Release me!
I liked Superman 2.
I did too.
What's that beanie you got on?
It's a Stadium Series NHL, looks like to me.
Yeah, it's 22 degrees outside.
Feels like that here. I hear you, Seth. It's like 60
It's
here.
cold. It's cold, but I got my new reverse retro T-shirt with the blue.
You know what? They've lost 6 in a row. Do we care?
I don't care. I'm still a fan.
They're on their dive to miss the playoffs now.
No way. Calm yourselves. It was a brutal sports night. As good a sports weekend as it was this weekend, it was that bad a sports night last night. Cuse lost to Pitt. They came all the way down from 20 down just to lose.
I know, but you lost to Pitt at home without their best player.
I know. That's a
Oof.
bad loss.
And they're not a good team. No.
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 We're not a good team. So
No, you're not.
Nope. Hey,
No, you're
I'm
not.
a realist.
In fact, it's getting to the point where I know Jim Boeheim has his timeline that
Yeah.
he wants to go, but
I know.
how much longer does Syracuse say, you know what, Jim? Our
whatever you want."
timelines don't match up.
Yep. No, it would take some stones, but they won't do it. We talk about this all the time, all my Cuse people. Yeah. Got some funny podcast stories when we do the segment.
Good.
It's cold. I'd take
Are
my
you a
kid to the
YouTube
bus.
TV person, Seth? Is that what you go
I am
with?
not. I am
What do you
not.
go with for your
Hulu Live?
Hulu? Okay.
Far superior product, even if they get the NFL. Devils are on TNT tonight, boys and girls.
Who do they play tonight?
Florida. Little rematch from Saturday night. Game I attended.
Panthers are playing lousy.
Things got a little chippy. Like to take Barkov and shove him down a goal. TNT means I don't have to use the Fakakta app to watch the games with, dialing, AirPlay, this whole rigmarole. See the same 3 commercials with Jeremy Roenick and Ric Flair. Got my hockey hair, Rick.
Kind of like listening to the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, same 4 commercials.
Yes.
Pretty much. Yep.
10 seconds. Here you go, guys.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
It's 22 minutes until the hour is up. 17 minutes is the most amount of time that we can have with one Seth Everett. He of Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, and Tech Stream. 3 terrific podcasts, 3 successful podcasts. I don't know what's more impressive. How good they are, the fact that they're successful. Follow Seth on Twitter at Seth_Everett. How are you? Happy Hanukkah.
Oh, shalom to everyone and to all a good night. How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
All a good night.
I wasn't expecting that. Put on your yarmulke. It's time for Hanukkah.
You just going to do Adam Sandler material?
No, but
here, or-
Hanukkah is not the parallel to Christmas. That is the biggest misnomer in religion today. Hanukkah.
Hold on a second. That's the biggest misnomer.
in religion.
That's
today,
the
huh?
biggest misnomer in
Okay.
religion today.
And I just watched 6 weeks of Qatar. The in the 50s, a bunch of Jewish kids wanted to be Christian and Catholic because Christmas had presents, and Hanukkah was a festival of candles. That's all Hanukkah is supposed to be about. And so in the 50s, they started giving presents to Jewish kids to keep them from converting. And that's literally all it is. It's an American tradition. Hanukkah is not the parallel. And if I remember Hanukkah correctly, by like night 6, I got crayons.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, because we had David Sampson on who said earlier this week that 4 years in a row, because he would get the one big gift. He'd get the little gifts and the big gift at the end of Hanukkah. Yeah. 4 years in a row, he said he got the same big gift. What was your best big Hanukkah gift?
Oh, it was always like Transformers or He-Man stuff. I was big time. I think I got a stereo once, like speakers in my room, and I had a double cassette player. That was pretty awesome. Stuff like that.
I'm just curious, these gifts you're talking about, this is what you received in your 30s and 40s, right?
No, it was last week. What are you talking about?
Okay. Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice and text stream. Follow Seth on Twitter at Seth_Everett. Well, where do we begin? And by the way, we're very good not mentioning that your Devils have lost 74 games in a row. I thought
74.
Right off the top.
Yeah. 6 in a row.
YouTube TV for NFL Sunday Ticket.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll start there.
Sure.
Yeah, YouTube TV for NFL Sunday Ticket. Your thoughts?
What's going to be interesting is what happens to the 2 red zones. So DirecTV has their own red zone hosted by Andrew Siciliano. That is an exclusive product to DirecTV. This week on Sports with Friends, I have Scott Hansen on. He hosts the other red zone that is owned by NFL Network. Now, what the NFL has done is that they've put that red zone on every streaming service under the sun. YouTube TV, Hulu, Sling TV, Fubo, all of the streaming services have access to the NFL red zone, as it's on airplanes, it's in sports bars, it's everywhere. Will the NFL remain committed to that? Is the Sunday Ticket package just out of market games because the viewership for the red zone has grown exponentially? Does YouTube TV then become the exclusive provider of the red zone? And in that case, do they hire Andrew Siciliano? And does the NFL compete with its own product with Scott Hansen? I'm fascinated to see how the details fall out. As somebody who watches that now pretty religiously for 2 seasons now, that's all the football I need on a Sunday. I'm not the target fan who lives in New Jersey but needs to see the Houston Texans, and that's what Sunday Ticket is. The idea is Sunday Ticket the only way to see a red zone? If that's the case, Google's going to get millions of subscribers. But if not, if Hulu and Sling and Apple and all these other streaming services can get Scott Hansen's red zone, I think this is just going to be the 1.5 million that went from DirecTV will go to YouTube TV.
Well, they're talking 2.5 billion. The numbers are a lot bigger. Is that the only way you see YouTube being profitable on this, or is profitability on this deal doesn't even matter?
Yeah, it's not a profit thing. They make billions of dollars on their products, and so it just like Apple. Apple actually, the reason Apple pulled out, and I got this on a pretty good authority, what had been reported was true. They didn't want to charge their subscribers any extra for Apple Plus to get it. And YouTube TV is going to charge, a nice chunk of change. It's going to probably be $99, which is, still a third of what it costs on DirecTV. So, it's a positive. Like I said, I'm interested to see where this all shakes out. If this YouTube deal comes with some level of exclusivity, meaning the only way that on a Sunday I can watch the Cowboys, the Raiders, the Giants, the Jets all at the same time, then I think it's a massive, massive deal. If it's not, if it's just out of market games, well, I've survived without DirecTV's Sunday Ticket for a long time. I'll survive without this.
It is fascinating when you think about it, guys, that Apple TV was willing to pay the fare.
Yeah.
But the NFL said, yeah, but we can't let you just, give it away for free or give it away for $6.99 a month. This has got to be.
Then they can't go to any other provider years later.
Well, and Apple TV was looking at them like, yeah, it's our business. We get to run it the way we want. Okay. And as long as you're cashing the $2.5 billion worth of checks, shut up. Okay. And the NFL is like, no. You can't devalue our product by having it be worth, like a monthly subscription to ESPN Plus. Can't do it.
That's exactly right.
Do you think if they get the red zone, which you seem to think is a big part of this, how much of an edge will this give them over the Hulus, over the Fubus, over all the Sling? Is this the end game of trying to cancel out some of those?
Well, that's the question. That's why I can't do a podcast on this until that's shaked out, because how exclusive is this deal? If this deal is that if I live in Baltimore, Maryland, and I want to watch the Cincinnati Bengals, then yeah, it's a massive deal. Don't get me wrong. It's a huge thing. But if I can get through my Hulu, if I can get the red zone, and I see bits and chunks of all those games live, without any kind of Sunday ticket package, then my life doesn't get changed. And I'm the typical cord cutter. You know what I'm saying? So the argument here, and then the question for YouTube TV, the other one is, what kind of distribution over some kind of analog television will they offer sports bars? Because that's something that Amazon did, where if you change your DirecTV account to DirecTV for Business, you get a channel number that airs the games, and you don't have to stream the Thursday night football games for your sports bar. Remember, Sunday ticket is a lot different. It's 7 to 8 to 9 games at once. And some of these sports bars sell to their customers that they can air all 9 games at the same time. That has to be possible.
All of them do. Yeah. No, you're right, Seth. All of them do.
Now, I don't know this for fact, but I thought also part of the Apple TV breakdown and negotiations was that the NFL, I think, Apple was wanting it to be a little more exclusive.
Right.
And the NFL was like, no. We ain't going backwards. No. If anything, in fact, you're not even going to get as good a deal as the one we just had.
With DirecTV.
So I don't think this is going to be the restrictive deal that you're talking about, because apparently the NFL and Apple were arguing over that as well.
If this means that, my friend in Los Angeles, who's a big Philadelphia Eagles fan because he grew up in Philadelphia, he'll get YouTube TV because of this deal, but I won't.
Yeah, and I will. Like, I have DirecTV now, and the only reason I have it is for Sunday ticket. Right. That will be done as soon as this contract.
Because you watch your out-of-market team. Right.
Well, and I have to watch games. It's part of the job. It's not necessarily
what I'm saying is, to me, what I've learned in the last 2 years is, to me, the red zone is enough for me, for my purposes. I see enough of every game that I know what's going on in football. That's how I enjoy to spend my Sundays. This week is Saturday, which is very weird.
Yes, Christmas Eve is the majority of games, although a triple header on Christmas Day on
all clunkers
Sunday. Well, the Packers-Dolphins is not a clunker.
Packers-Dolphins, that's not going to hold my attention. I'll watch Batman the Animated Series.
Well, Seth, no offense, most days you would do that. I'm just saying Packers-Dolphins is not a clunker. That's all.
That's fine. My holiday tradition always involves Batman the Animated Series and the Chinese food. That's my Christmas. And I always offer to work, no matter what job I've always had. I've offered to board up. I've done anything. Why does a family miss Christmas dinner with their family so that I can watch cartoons and eat Chinese food? Like, what I always say to wherever I work, whatever you need, I'll do. And I don't always ask, it's not a money thing. I always offer. And when I was at the Fan in Denver, I board upped for 10 hours. Just to sit there and so somebody didn't have to miss Christmas, so I could sit there and eat lo mein.
And to think,
and I'm glad you let us know, because my next question was, what do you go with for the order? Now I know you go the noodle route.
Not always. I don't always do the noodle. I'm a big.
So hold on a second. You mix up your Chinese order. You don't like, because I order like shrimp.
Yeah, I go for different things every time. Yeah.
Huh? Mark, you
different pretty much every time.
I order the same 2 things. That's it. It's one or the other.
Anybody who's listened to this show for more than 5 minutes is surprised by that. Why?
No, probably not.
Extra MSG, right?
Seth, look at me. Okay, no offense. No offense. There is no chemical out there that can defeat me. Okay. All right. I've flown on about 300 flights since the pandemic has started. You know how many times I've had COVID? None. I may look like crap, Seth.
You're a
I am
bastion of health.
indestructible.
Yeah.
You and
I like
Keith-
when Kramer, when they get Chinese food and Kramer just goes extra MSG.
The Mets are kind of going extra everything right now, aren't they? I mean, this is just this. I asked Dave this morning, I said, does it feel like you're waking up on Christmas every morning right now with the Mets? Steve Cohen's going bat blank crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's a sport where there's literally no rules. You can do whatever you want. There's like 9 teams that Steve Cohen has spent more this offseason than 9 teams' entire payrolls. It's just, it's fine. Whatever it is, if Met fans are happy, one of the things that I've learned over my 25 plus years covering this, fans care about their team first and a sport second. So they don't want to hear me talking about the state of a sport and how competitive balance is a non-factor in that sport. As long as they get their penance, to get their pound of flesh, Met fans are thrilled. Great. I'd love to know what the problem with the physical exam was, because I think that's a bunch of BS. And Correa is a guy who's he'll help them.
Well, Mark's theory is that there was nothing wrong, that the Giants got cold feet.
Yeah.
And so
the diagnosis was cold feet, right?
Right. That Boris didn't do anything, unethical here and just steer Correa away from the Giants when the, Uber was taking them to the press conference.
Correct. Yeah. It seems very shady, but whatever. That's fine. They have
shady
2 openings.
but for the record, though, shady by the Giants.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Right.
The Mets have 2 openings, by the way. Their lead play-by-play announcer and their third play-by-play announcer, because Howie Rose only does about 90 to 100 games. So there's 2 openings for their play-by-play announcer.
All right, put in a good word for us then.
I will.
Miller and Moulton, by the way,
Together.
we'll alternate which
tag
one
team
is
deal?
1 and which one is 3.
Got
We'll
it.
just
Got it.
alternate depending on the series.
Get right on that. Yeah, totally.
Okay, good. Good.
Seth, what do you got coming up on the podcast?
Scott Hansen from the NFL Red Zone and NFL Network on Sports with Friends. He's a Cuse guy. He was a senior when I was a freshman, and supposedly we met. I barely remember it. We talk a lot about what goes into putting that show together, and we talk about the NFL's commitment to promoting it and how many more services it's been on since it launched in 2009. It's a fantastic podcast. Scott Hansen from NFL Red Zone.
We got about 30 seconds.
Next week we are doing a Sports with Friends. It's my 5th annual 2 Jews Hanging Out on Christmas podcast. So we've got that for next week. Hall of Justice is a heavy hitter. Jeff Johns, former head of DC Entertainment, created the DC Cinematic Universe, all the WBDC shows. Jeff Johns is on Hall of Justice, and TechStream is about Elon going after media members.
10 seconds to review. What's the name of that special Christmas podcast?
2 Jews Hanging Out on Christmas.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure that we all
5th
heard it
annual.
correctly the first time.
One of the highest rated podcasts of the year.
As well it should be.
Order your lo mein, Seth. Thanks. Happy
Hope
holidays.
the Chinese is good on Christmas, Seth.
All right.
To all my friends, Mugu Gai Pan.
He is Seth Everett, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, and the Tech Stream podcast. And as we put on there, all around good guy. Seth, have a great rest of your day. Miller and Moulton, the bonus hour in the 239 is next on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not giving you the results you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs. Presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs. Powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I just froze reading that post about Montana. I have not, buried. I have my friend Anthony from Clutch has taken such good care of me that I have not really had the need to switch vodkas. And I don't drink that much vodka. Vodka is kind of a 3 to 7 p.m. drink for me before we go to the brown liquor. I've been told, by the way, Barry, that the San Carlos liquor store has probably the best collections of bourbons anywhere in Southwest Florida. He charges more for it than other places, but literally has 3 bottles of Pappy there if you want to jump in. No joke. San Carlos Liquors, apparently he has everything. He's got Buffalo Trace. He's got Weller's. He's got, I got a buddy of mine that told me about it. He charges more for it and look you right in the eye and say, you don't want to pay for it, don't pay for it.
$8,000 for a bottle of, wow. I think the Dolphins are winning. Stumpy. I don't see him losing 4 in a row. 1, 2. I like the matchup against Green Bay's defense. I do. I mean, Rashawn Butler can't run with any of those receivers. Now, Dolphins defense is in the bottom 25% of the league, though. That's
a problem.
All the injuries have really. But outside of Christian Watson,
they could run it though. They could
well,
run it.
A.J. Dillon going into the tent late third quarter with a concussion potential. That's worth paying attention to, whether or not A.J. Dillon can play.
Stumpy, I love the fact that you're right there with me. You're afraid of freezing your butt off because it's going to be like 55 degrees. And I'm not knocking you. I am sympathetic towards you.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this hump day. Thanks for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Good show lined up for you tomorrow. All right, just saying. Got Bud Elliott, got Roy Cummings, got Dr. Roto. I mean, Matt Canada's moving to Friday along with Pat Kerwin. I mean, we're kind of having an okay week, leading into Christmas weekend. And we're going to do a show Monday. Why? That's a great question. Great question. But,
there's football being played on Saturday and Sunday. That's why. And a little bit of the guilt factor. If we don't do a show, we're not really in the mood to hear it from Pat Kerwin all week.
Well, man, that is true. Man, he's a tough friend to have.
He really is.
Man, he doesn't take a day off ever. You get grief when you take a federal holiday off when you're a friend with Pat Kerwin. Man. Does he bust all his friends or just those of us that are in the sports talk? I think we get it.
Well, first off, Pat does not do weekly interviews with anyone in the country but us, I don't think.
I know.
And he has become more than a guest. He's become a friend to both of us. He's been great to us professionally and been great to us personally. So we allow it.
Well, we have no choice.
Well, there's that too.
It's part of Pat's charm. Okay. Being friends with Pat's kind of like being married. I mean, when you really think about it, I mean, you have no choice. You got to go along with it. Okay. Unless you're willing to, end the friendship. It's one or the other.
It's funny you say that too, because I went to the Blades game with Pat last week, and Pat has a little bit of you in him that I didn't know. Pat was like, meet me at Miramar. I'll pick you up so you don't have to pay for parking. Pat was adamant that I was not going to pay my own parking. So it was he and his buddy and Brad Childress and I. And so he picks me up and I joined the four of them in the car. So it was all of it. He didn't just tell me, he told Childress. It's not like Childress can't afford $15 to park.
Right. It's not like none of you can't afford it.
But we all met, and that's the way Pat set the rules. And we all go in together.
Exactly. It's his rules.
And it's his rules. And at the game, and everybody abides by Pat's rules. At the end of the first period, you get to the game, you go to the Hertz Club before the game starts.
Right.
One quick one.
Correct.
Then you go sit down. End of the first period, you march to the Breakaway Sports Pub as fast as you can get there.
Lightning.
Second period, back up to Breakaway. And he knows every usher, and you just follow.
Were the beers waiting for you when you got to Breakaway?
She's not there anymore.
Oh, because he used to have it where literally he'd show up and there'd still be, if it's a 15-minute break, it'd be like 14:38 remaining on the clock if he hit the elevator without having to wait for it. And you got up and you walked in and the beers were lined up for him. I thought it was like walking in to Norm at Cheers.
Trust me that he still gets good service, but he had a friend on the other side of the bar, and she had Pat taken care of.
Right.
But she moved away.
Well, we got to bring her back. Okay. Whatever she's making, Pat'll do the negotiations. All right, to bring her back. So Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. A lot going on in the sports world, unfortunately. Biggest story of today, the passing of Franco Harris. He's been very public these last few weeks. He and his family were going to have a huge celebration this weekend in Pittsburgh. 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. They're playing the Raiders, which is who the play happened against. They were going to retire his number, and the Steelers don't do that. I will say this, and it's probably in poor taste for me to say it. But like Joe Green, I totally get. Like if you're the Steelers, we don't retire numbers, but if you're going to retire a number from that dynasty, you got to retire the best player's number. Joe Green was the best player. Offense, defense, those 37 Hall of Famers, he was the best player. Everybody on the team will tell you he was the best. Okay. But then Franco's number 2. According in the eyes of the Steelers. And you wonder how much of that is just that he stayed there. He lived there. You know, he continued to proudly represent the franchise for 40 years.
He was a Steeler from the time he signed with that organization until today. I think that's all of it.
By the way,
didn't Bradshaw have wasn't there a bit of, is rough period the way to describe it, but isn't there
still, I think, I mean, damn near 20 years. I mean, yeah, Bradshaw and Knoll had their, Terry's clearly moody, and that's an understatement. All right. But yeah, I mean, Bradshaw very public, his feud with Knoll. He felt that the organization pressured him to play when he was injured, and that's why he blew out his elbow to the point where he couldn't play anymore. They were in a losing streak. They were playing the Jets at Shea. They desperately needed a win. Bradshaw played the first quarter, threw 2 touchdown passes, never threw another pass in the league. He completely blew out his elbow. And he resented them for it.
And was public.
Very. Right. Very.
And as two guys who have been public with their discretions of former employers.
Are you saying it's not well received?
It's not well received. And there's nothing you can really do about it after the fact to get that back.
No. And the townspeople take the side of the team too. And it doesn't matter how great you are. 4 Super Bowls, you're the quarterback, the whole deal, it doesn't matter. The team's bigger than you. You know, Mark, we've talked about it. In the last 50 years, there's only been one time in which the fans took the side of the player in a dispute with the team. Hines Ward wanted to and the fans took a look at the situation. They took a look at his contract and they said, this is ridiculous. He needs to be paid. And the Steelers, after about 3 weeks of getting crushed, and Mark, you married into a Steeler family. Do the Steelers get 3 bad weeks of newspaper, TV, and radio very often?
No.
And after 3 weeks of really bad media, the Steelers called them up and said, hey, we need to do a deal. That's it. 50 years, he was the one. But Franco passing away suddenly this morning at the age of 72, right before his huge weekend for he and his family.
Yeah, Friday will be the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. Saturday, they were celebrating that game. They're playing the Raiders in Pittsburgh. That'll be quite a scene Christmas Eve.
I was going to mention this, and Greg in our Twitch chat room just threw it out there. You know how it's always brought up Joe Namath with the Rams, Willie Mays in center field with the Mets. Do you remember Franco as the Seahawk?
I do.
I think it was right before Kurt Warner. I think like Franco left, and I don't know if they had just drafted Warner and they weren't ready to commit to him as a rookie, or they drafted Warner the next year. But Franco is a Seahawk. That's
I can see the jersey right now. And that's why I just remember the game in which I see him in the back shot of Harris on the back of that jersey, not looking right.
You know, Unitas as a Charger, you know, there are certain pictures in which you see them, you go, oh, damn, really? Now, see, Canada Relief in our Twitch chat room mentioned Jordan in Washington. I'm not a Bulls fan, so maybe that's why this doesn't hit me the way it does a lot of people. Jordan was still pretty good. He was averaging 20 a game. I mean, he was still a good player. They were mediocre teams at best. He couldn't even get them into the playoffs. But now Emmitt Smith is a Cardinal, who, by the way, I think his 1 year he rushed for just under 1,000 yards. I mean, this was not Franco in Seattle. Emmitt is a Cardinal. Just, you know.
But Franco Harris passing at the age of 72 and as big of an ambassador to not just the Steelers, but to Penn State as well.
Yes. Big Jopa defender.
Big Jopa defender. That
Yes.
that lost something with me. I appreciate his loyalty, but I thought there was a time in which he should have quit that. But as loyal as they come to both places he played throughout his life.
And beloved. Absolutely beloved. What a shock this will be in that region. And he was doing a whole bunch of interviews too. You know, I mean, and Franco was never one to shy away from a camera and a microphone, but he was being asked to do a lot of media nationally, locally, and he said, yeah, absolutely.
It's the biggest play in the history of the biggest sport on in this country. I mean, come on. It's the most iconic play in that league's history.
I don't agree with that, but okay. But it's up there. It's top 5. And that's considered a Rolls-Royce franchise, and it clearly is the most famous play in the history of that franchise.
Without a doubt. I mean, the statue is in the airport after all.
I know, and I was shocked. Weren't you shocked the first time you saw that? Was the first time you saw that when you went to visit your future wife's family for the first time, or had you been to the Pittsburgh airport before?
I had never seen it before.
It's at the airport. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you come down, you take the train to the gates. So you come off the train and you take an escalator down to baggage claim and ticketing and all that. And there's 2 levels. You take an escalator down, you walk 10 steps, and then you take more escalators. And right there is Franco catching the damn ball.
Yes, can't miss it. Cannot miss it. Coming off a flight. If you have baggage, you can't miss it.
You can't miss it, period. Even if you don't have baggage, you have to pass that.
Yep, got to go all the way down. That's true.
So it will be a sad night Saturday in Pittsburgh, to say the very least, of what was supposed to be a hell of a celebration. Now going to be more like a funeral. Miller and Moulton, we thank you for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Don't miss the Miami Dolphins watch party every Sunday at the Seaside Bar and Grill in Bonita Springs, presented by Clutch Vodka. The Seaside will be serving Clutch Vodka drinks, including the awesome Bloody Mary bar at the Seaside. If you can't be at Hard Rock Stadium, come have fun at the best place in town to watch the Dolphins and enjoy the best, clean, crisp, smoothest vodka. That's Clutch with a K. Miami Dolphins parties every week at the Seaside Bar and Grill on Old 41 in Bonita Springs, powered by Clutch Vodka.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. golfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. FLGolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, FLGolfcarts.com. FLGolfcarts.com.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yes, I know today's. Thank you for texting me that today is early release day. You.
So I'm wearing my Crocs right now because when I get to City of Palms, I'm going to put on my Jordans.
Thanks for that, Felipe.
You're welcome.
I would have never been able to live not knowing that.
Mm-hmm. They're in the box and everything. 10 seconds.
Buried, quite like the future of this show.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You know what I was doing during the break, right? I mean, what did we just spend an entire segment talking about? Who were we talking about?
Franco Harris.
So I, was looking up Franco stuff. And I was looking up his stats as to just how different the game is today compared to that era. I mean, first off, when Franco, the guts of his career, he was playing 14 games a year.
Right.
It was about the midway point of his career, and when he was 28 years old in 78, that they went to a 16-game season. But he had already put 6,000-yard rushing seasons up on the board by then. But what was interesting is last year as a Steeler, he rushed for 1,000 yards. And they said, yeah, Franco, it's time. You got to go. And he said, no, man, I still got some football left in me. Plus, Mark, he was like 300-something yards behind Jim Brown. And I don't know if Peyton had passed Jim Brown yet. I don't think he had. No, I think he had. I think Peyton had passed Jim Brown by, 83, 84. But Franco, I think, wanted to pass Jim Brown. Because when he was approaching Jim Brown and he was being compared, he wasn't being compared favorably, and I don't think Jim appreciated his running style, tiptoeing and going out of bounds a lot. And so I think Franco wanted to pass Jim Brown.
Ended up third all time, right, when he retired?
At the time he retired, Peyton was active and was number one, and then you had Jim Brown and you had Franco. And I believe now, to give you an idea, I think he's like 14th, 15th, something like that. I mean, Jim Brown's not in the top 10 anymore, I don't believe.
Thought I saw as they were running a lot of stats that it would have make sense. He is the all-time rushing leader in Super Bowls, which would make sense. He played in so many.
Right, played in 4. I mean, to outdo him. And when he played, running the football was how you won Super Bowls. Plus, their first win against the Vikings in Super Bowl IX, didn't he have like $160 or something?
Well, he was
like
the
that?
MVP. In fact, I've got it in front of me as I was pulling up some stuff. He rushed for 158 yards that game. You want to take a guess at what the Vikings team rushing stats were for that game?
Well, I know their only points were on a blocked punt. So their team rushing stats?
Franco had 158 yards.
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings had 17.
Going back to the whole Mean Joe Green part of the dynasty. Right. Mm-hmm. And by the way, the Vikings had 2 Hall of Famers on that offensive line. 2. They rushed for 17 yards. That was the Steelers' way of saying, our Hall of Famers are better than your Hall of Famers. Jim Brown 11th, by the way, right now. 11th all time. Franco 15th on the all-time list. In between them, because they're separated by less than 200 yards, Marshall Faulk, Edgerrin James, Marcus Allen. That'll play.
Pretty good little list right there.
I was going to say, none of those guys in the top 10, by the way.
Right.
It is the one guy on the list, and I know we're going on a little bit of a tangent here, but Frank Gore third is the one, because you got Emmett, you got Walter, you got Barry Sanders, Adrian Peterson, Curtis Martin, LaDainian Tomlinson, Jerome Bettis, Eric Dickerson, Tony Dorsett. That's your top 10, except for number 3 is Frank Gore. Frank Gore's a good player.
Right. By the way, that's a permanent list. Unless the game really changes, who's cracking inside that top 10?
Oh, my goodness.
Who's I don't know if you have it in front of you. Who's the active leader?
I don't think there's anyone in the top 25.
I don't think so either.
And by the way, you need over 10,000 yards to be in the top 25.
I mean, that is the list.
How many years do you think 28-year-old Derrick Henry has left in his career? Because he's the only one.
And where is it that we're trying to get to? Like somebody cracking the what?
Hell. Give him that top 15. Get him to 10,000 yards.
That would be top 25, by the way.
Right. As of right now, through week 15, Derrick Henry has 8,100 rushing yards.
Now, since Adrian Peterson is not retired, okay, do you know Ezekiel Elliott, by the way, right now is atop the active rushing list? He's got about 8,200 yards. Mark Ingram's right there also, 8,100. Derrick Henry's at 8,100. And then you got to go down. Like, here's a guy. Nick Chubb just cracked 6,000. So I played. This is his 5th year.
Right.
I'm just saying, how
could he double it? Could he play 10 years and double it? That's really the question you have to ask yourself.
Right. Can he do 6,000 over the next 5 years? And that would get him to 12,000, and that would get him, 15th.
Right, and should get him into the Hall of Fame in today's game if you do that.
Whew, absolutely. But very different game then than now. Franco, for his career, averaged 70 yards a game.
Yeah, that's good.
It's a different game.
Oh, totally. So just reminiscing a little bit, Franco Harris, I guess technically he must have passed away officially late last night, and word only came out this morning because they're listing the day that he died as the 20th. So haven't heard a cause of death. One would think, since it's so sudden, it would be heart attack, but bummer to say the least. All right, with everything that was going to come his and his family's way in the next 72 plus hours.
Not to mention it's 4 damn days before Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, on top of all of that, it is 4 days before Christmas.
Yep.
So sad day for all Pittsburgh fans out there, because Franco Harris, a legend there, and truly, as he said, he even said, I don't really count that year in Seattle. I'm always going to be black and gold.
Yeah. Fortunately, much of the video's been, thrown out. Seattle stations have even agreed not to show it. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Miller and Moulton. Thought we'd get a few more text on Franco today, but not a whole lot on there. I know we've had a couple of Pittsburgh fans in the Twitch chat room making their comments about it. And that's the other side, is that not only did Franco was the ambassador for the team, ambassador for the city, and all kinds of great charitable work throughout. And you'll hear more and more about that as the day goes on.
But the biggest story of today, right before that, the biggest story was Carlos Correa and the Giants breaking their deal, and then Correa signing 12 years, $315 million with the Mets, 26 and a quarter million. So the left side of the Mets infield's making about $60 million a year.
The Mets payroll is at $384 million. They will have a $111 million tax. That's the tax threshold they've met in the league. They are basically spending $500 million on their baseball team this year for their salary. $500 million. Absolutely staggering.
It is gross. It is. I mean, is the farm system really that bad?
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
30 seconds. Fifteen seconds. Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
It's 22 minutes until the top of the hour, 17 until we're out of here. The Hump Day edition of Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Bud Elliott, Roy Cummings, Dr. Roto on the show tomorrow.
I know you at this time of year probably can't tell one day from another. You don't know what city you're in half the time. This is the end of the rock and roll tour for you. But this is one of those weird weeks that you gave me the Hump Day edition. I'm like, it's not Friday? What do you mean? My daughter's done for school for the week today. My son's flying in for the holidays. I've got all kinds of Christmas stuff going on. And the whole week, last night, wife comes home from work. She goes, you can have a drink with me. I'm like, it's Tuesday. But it just didn't feel like one.
My God, Mark, it does feel like a Friday.
Well, in Felipe's case, too, working the city of Palms. All right. He's been working 2 jobs here for a while, so he's ready to crash. But yeah, I got to admit, the length of time that the kids are off from school this year is amazing to me.
Yeah, by the time she goes back to school, I think she'll be in the 6th grade.
I mean, it's almost 3 weeks off, right?
Yes.
That's unbelievable.
It's a day short of 3 weeks. They go back Tuesday the 10th.
Man.
What? Are you kidding me?
No.
No.
That's darn near. Mark, I don't know if they offered this at Michigan State, but the college I went to, they had like 6 weeks off in between, fall semester, spring semester, and they offered intersession is what it was called. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Classes in the world, right? They do it in 2-3 weeks. You're guaranteed a 3-point for showing up.
Yeah. I mean, it was 3 weeks, and now each class was 2.5 hours every day. I mean, that's how they do it, because each class was essentially a week. So, if your class is 50 minutes, 50 times 3 is 2.5 hours. So you would have to, every class was a week. But, 3 weeks in, there you go, you're done. Bada bing, bada boom. So, Mark, I would take 2 classes during intercession, bang out 6 credits. It was a lot of fun. Plus, not only that, Mark, the bars were only 30% full because most people were still back home, so to speak. So it was awesome.
Yeah, summer session and intersession are things that I wish I would have learned earlier in my collegiate career. My grade point average would have been higher, and I might actually finish shy of 5 years.
The other thing that happened during intercession, and I know we got stuff we got to do, but Mark, see, when school was in full session, the bars had enough people so that they could be pretty strict with how old you are and you're allowed to legally be in here. Well, during intercession, no. So basically, if you showed up, you got in.
And you're the latest of all birthdays, just having celebrated your birthday 2 days ago. You weren't one that, because I had friends who have similar birthdays to you that were in the earlier class. So they were turning 16, right away, where you didn't turn 16 until your junior year, right?
Right. And for example, I took my last final on the day I turned 18. I did a full semester of college and turned 18.
Right.
So, but freshman and sophomore years, you're doing intercession, and the drinking age was 21, and at 18 and 19 with my, curly hair, kind of like what Felipe's walking around with now, although I had a much better porn stash than what he's walking around with. Okay. But still, I was borderline as to whether or not I should be in there, and they didn't card you for those 3 weeks.
Not to take anything away from your mustache, but there are sixth graders with better mustaches than Felipe has right now.
That is true. That is true. I think the Guatemalan women who took their tops off have better mustaches than Felipe.
Hey, now.
Argentinian women, my bad.
Yeah, that's all right. I knew right where you were going.
My goodness.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Big day, Felipe. Big day for you. You should be celebrating all day long because it was today in 1891 in Springfield, Massachusetts, that the first game of basketball was played.
Dr. James.
There you have it. Played by 18 students in Springfield today. 1913, the first crossword puzzle was printed in the New York World. Shirley Temple signed to a studio contract at the age of 5 today in 1933. Today in 1937, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the first full-length animated feature filmed in the earliest of the Walt Disney Animated Classics premieres. 1941, the Bears beat the Giants for the NFL championship to win consecutive titles. It's the first time in the championship era that there were back-to-back titles by a team. Today in 59, the Cowboys hired Tom Landry. They'd be clear of having to hire another coach again until 1988.
You know, the funny thing is the Giants had Lombardi and Landry as their coordinators and could still only win the title once.
Today in 1969, Vince Lombardi coaches his last football game, a 20-10 loss to the Cowboys.
He would come down with cancer after the season was over and never started year 2 with Washington.
Also today in 69, Diana Ross's final appearance as a Supreme would be on the Ed Sullivan Show. Ed would announce her upcoming departure from the group. In a photo that most of you have seen, the most requested photo from the entire National Archives happened today in 1970 when Elvis meets President Nixon. Today in 1979, Gary Unger, his record for consecutive games that ends at 914 as the Atlanta Flames lose 5-1 to the Blues. He was benched. Doug Jarvis would break his record years later. 1984, BYU beats Michigan 24-17 in the Holiday Bowl. They would remain undefeated and earn a national title.
They posted 12-0, and Oklahoma and one or two others posted 11-1. And the pollsters, Mark, what has changed?
That zero still means something, baby.
A 0 in the right-hand column. Doesn't matter your level of competition. And not only that, they beat a 6-5
Michigan team, right?
It was one of Bo's weaker teams, and they beat them by a touchdown, but it was enough. And the other thing which was interesting is that, you know, think about when the Holiday Bowl was played. Well, we still had a week and a half till the New Year's Day Bowls were played. I mean, during that time, they were talking about, well, you know, if these 10-1 teams win their bowl games, will we vote them over BYU?
Today in 97, Barry Sanders becomes the third to run for 2,000 yards in a season. And in 2012, Gangnam Style is the first video to reach 1 billion views on YouTube. Sorry, state of affairs. Those born today that are no longer with us: Walter Hagen, Josh Gibson, Joe Paterno, Frank Zappa, and FloJo. Those that are celebrating birthdays: Jane Fonda's 85. David Kingman and Samuel L. Jackson are both 74. Ari Lewandike is 69. Chris Everett, 68. Ray Romano is 65. Tough guy Joey Koser is 58. Kiefer Sutherland is 56. Kari Webb is 48. And that French president, Macron, is 45 today. And that's today was a day when, David. What did I miss?
Patton died today in 45. And he didn't die, you know, car accident.
Car crash.
And Mark, does this movie still hold, you know, the test of time? The Graduate opened today 55 years ago.
David, I have one word for you. Plastic. Yes, that movie's so good. I don't know. See, I don't know if Felipe could watch that and think the movie's good.
What?
Probably not. The Graduate.
Anne Bancroft, Dustin Hoffman. And to consider that movie was made in 1967, the subject matter that they deal with in 1967, like threw America on its ear.
Love The Graduate.
Yes, I'm with you, but we're in our 50s,
right?
Okay,
but that's predates us. I mean, that wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, The Graduate was before you were born,
Right.
and obviously I was too. So I didn't see it when it debuted or anything. But when we caught it later on in life, we were in our teens. The movie was 15 or so years old.
Love The Graduate.
Yes.
And you are right. Talk about some risque subject matter in 1968.
Felipe, very quickly, okay, college guy sleeps with mom's best friend and then falls in love with mom's best friend's daughter.
What is this? The story of Zach Wilson?
Yes. As a matter of fact, it is.
Well done, young
Well
man.
played, Felipe. Well played. With a better soundtrack. That's the only thing I'll tell you. With a better soundtrack.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
For the good today, we go to Tampa, Kansas. Never knew there was a Tampa, Kansas. And the folks in Tampa, Florida, threw a little surprise vacation for every single resident of the Tampa, Kansas town. They flew all of them to Tampa, Florida. Courtesy of Visit Tampa and Southwest Airlines, almost the entire town's population arrived at Tampa International last week for their quick holiday vacation. They did a little zoo. They did a little Busch Gardens. They did a little Florida aquarium. They got a night at the Floridian, and then they went back home. 105 Kansas residents who call Tampa, Kansas home came to Tampa, Florida, courtesy of Visit Tampa Bay. That's a good little publicity stunt right there, David.
That's tremendous.
Right? For the bad, we go to Nashville via London and Saudi Arabia. A family was moving from London to Nashville, and they were bringing their dog. The problem was British Airlines sent their dog to the wrong place. They sent the dog to Saudi Arabia. When they went to pick up their dog at the airport, they gave them the wrong dog.
Oh, no.
Now Bluebell, the rescue dog, is back home, but apparently has not the same dog since the dog is coming home, and they want answers from Southwest Airlines. Southwest is basically just offering an apology.
Yeah, just, can we give you some miles? No?
Finally, the ugly, we go to Oklahoma, where Richard Engel's wife walked into Starbucks, bought a coffee for $1.25, and then apparently wanted a refund. She was denied the refund and told to call the corporate office. She left. Then her husband walked in wanting the same $1.25 back. When he was denied the refund, he stole money out of the tip jar and walked out. He's been arrested and faces charges of robbery and assault over a $1.25 cup of coffee. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, the 21st of December, 2022.
Got 7 games in the NHL, both Florida teams in action. Tampa's at Detroit, and the Panthers are hosting the Devils. 11 NBA games. Mark, our Magic, trying to get back on the bike in Houston. FGCU, by the way, in action tonight. The men are hosting Canisius at 7 o'clock for those of you that want to go. And Mark, for the record, FGCU an 11.5-point favorite.
Warms my heart that they're getting regular season point spreads on their games.
And I would lay the points. Canisius is 2-8. Just saying. I'm just saying. Now they've played a pretty good schedule, but still, they're 2-8. I'd lay the points.
Fair enough.
We got a bowl game.
I was going to say there's really only one thing that matters today, and that's the New Orleans Bowl, where Western Kentucky is a 4-point dog against South Alabama.
And I'm taking Western Kentucky to win outright.
Whoa! Moulton's playing the money line after going 0-2 yesterday.
Yep. So, in fact, I'm doubling down on Western Kentucky. I'll take the points and, as Lee Sterling would say, wrong team's favored. So, there you have it.
Plus $1.38 for you on that one, David, on the money line.
Okay. All right. Just trying to win a little something back. Miller and Moulton. Franco Harris passing away at the age of 72. Word came out a couple hours ago. And I believe they say he died technically last night. I saw a death listed as the 20th, but, you know. And Carlos Correa ends up with the Mets, 12 years, $315, after originally agreeing to a 13-year, $350 million deal with the Giants.
And NFL fans, start learning about YouTube TV.
Right.
Because that is going to be your home for the Sunday Ticket starting next season.
Bud Elliott, Roy Cummings, Dr. Roto, all on the show tomorrow. Today's National Letter of Intent Day, early signing period. Most all of it will literally happen today. We will recap it all with Bud tomorrow, 7:30-ish.
Jets and Jags tomorrow in a big game for both. Miller and Moulton, we thank you so much for listening. Great show lined up tomorrow. If you missed any of the show today, download it at all the usual places and thefloridasportsnetwork.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa